Chapter 46. Pan Jiang slowly stood up and raised his head to look at Qin Guang. He squeezed out a smile that was uglier than crying, and said in a tone that was almost gnashing his teeth, "Qin Guang, congratulations on passing the preliminaries. From the looks of it, you will definitely be the champion of the school sports meet this time. As your classmate, I'm really honored to be your classmate." Qin Guang raised his eyebrows and thought, what's wrong with this guy? Even if I trampled Dong Tao and the other two to death and passed the preliminaries, there's no need for him to speak to me in such a humble manner, right? At this moment, Sun Xiaoxuan coughed and saw Qin Guang looking at him with a puzzled expression, but Sun Xiaoxuan quickly turned his face to the other side. Pan Jiang was well aware of what Sun Xiaoxuan meant. He was so angry that his teeth itched. Looking at Qin Guang's satisfied look, he really wanted to punch him in the face. But Pan Jiang knew that he had to restrain himself at this moment, or else all his previous efforts would be in vain. He slowly lowered his head and didn't dare to let Qin Guang and the others see his eyes that looked as if he wanted to eat someone alive. He said in a low and hoarse voice, "Qin Guang, I apologize to you here. I was wrong in the past and I was narrow-minded. But now it's been so long and it's fate that we got to know each other, so please forgive me for my past recklessness. Also, please help me convey my apology to Bai Fan, Lin Jingwei and Xiong Jinka. I don't expect us to be good friends in the future, but for the sake of being classmates, let's at least coexist peacefully, okay?" The more Pan Jiang said, the lower his head became, as if he was really too ashamed to see anyone. Qin Guang was startled by Pan Jiang's sudden apology. A dying man's words were always kind. Could it be that this guy was going to die? But he was still alive and kicking and looked at Dong Tao. It didn't look like he was going to die, did it? That was too abnormal. Qin Guang was suddenly alarmed. He first pushed Sun Xiaoxuan and the others away, and then he was on full alert. "Pan Jiang, did you take the wrong medicine?" He couldn't help but be shocked. Pan Jiang and his roommates had been in conflict with Pan Jiang for a long time, and it couldn't be erased with just a few words. Besides, if this guy really changed, there might be some room for negotiation. But from Qin Guang's point of view, this guy was simply unchangeable. There was no reason for him to come to him and apologize for no reason. Hearing those words, Pan Jiang's face twitched. He wanted nothing more than to throw a punch at Qin Guang. However, he ultimately held it in and raised his head with a wronged expression. "I'm sincerely apologizing to you and I just wanted to let bygones be bygones. You don't have to scold me at this moment, right?" Pan Jiang's face twitched and he wanted to punch Qin Guang. But in the end he held back. He raised his head again and put on a wronged expression. "I'm sincerely apologizing to you and I just want to forget about the grudge between us. You don't have to scold me at this time, do you?" Qin Guang turned his head to look at Sun Xiaoxuan and she winked at him. "Fine, I hope you'll keep your word. It's not our roommates who are picking a fight. As long as you don't pick a fight with us, it won't be hard to get along with each other." Qin Guang was telling the truth. "Then it's fine." Sun Xiaoxuan was afraid that Qin Guang would say something else to intensify the conflict, so she clapped her hands together and put an end to today's matter. "If there's nothing else, I'll leave first." As they were talking, Qin Guang noticed that Coach Qin Yuanhua, who tried to drag him to the swimming team, was walking out of the swimming complex and heading straight for him. If I'm not mistaken, Coach Qin hasn't given up yet. Qin Guang wasn't in the mood to waste time with him. He said goodbye to Sun Xiaoxuan and the others and ran away. "Hey, classmate Qin Guang." "Hey." Coach Qin saw that Qin Guang was about to run, so he yelled at him from behind. But how could he catch up with Qin Guang? He disappeared in the blink of an eye. Sun Xiaoxuan originally wanted to spend more time with Qin Guang, but he ran away all of a sudden. Sun Xiaoxuan was disappointed, but she finally understood what had happened when she saw Coach Qin. After Qin Guang left the swimming complex, he went back to his room alone. His mind was filled with the previous incident. The person who understood you the most was your enemy. Although Qin Guang didn't take Pan Jiang seriously, they had been on bad terms for 2 or 3 years. They both knew each other's character. There must be something wrong when something is out of the ordinary. Today, Pan Jiang tried to embarrass him in the preliminaries with Dong Tao and the others, but he failed. Then he apologized to him and expressed that he was willing to make peace. It was unbelievable. In Qin Guang's view, it didn't matter even if the two of them maintained this conflicted relationship until they graduated from university. Anyway, after graduation they wouldn't have to deal with each other anymore. He didn't have to do this at all. But why was that? What was he plotting? Many things from the past few days came to his mind one by one. Qin Guang had a flash of inspiration. He recalled the scene when he met Sun Xiaoxuan at lunch that day. He seemed to have grasped some inspiration, but he couldn't be sure. Forget it, let's not think about it now. I'll send a message to Sun Xiaoxuan's best friend and ask her to keep an eye on things. Qin Guang also had the number of the girls in his class in his phone. After sending a message, he put the matter aside. Class rep, I Pan Jiang am a man of my word, right? I lost the bet today and I admit it. After Qin Guang left, Pan Jiang finally let out a sigh of relief. He was really afraid that if Qin Guang stayed for a while longer, he wouldn't be able to hold it in anymore. The other girls still had competitions to attend, so they couldn't surround Sun Xiaoxuan anymore. One by one they ran off to participate in their own competitions. Before they left, they looked down on Sun Xiaoxuan, saying that she only cared about watching Qin Guang and didn't watch her good friends' competitions. Sun Xiaoxuan's view of him had changed a lot. He responded, well, at least you keep your word. Anyway, I hope you guys can get along well in the future. One more friend is one more path. You guys didn't have to fight each other. Although Pan Jiang was disdainful of Sun Xiaoxuan's words in his heart, his face showed that he was enjoying it very much. Yeah, I was too childish before. After this incident, I feel like I've grown up a lot. Even if I won the bet today, I actually plan to apologize to Qin Guang. That's what I was thinking. Now it's a good thing I found a way to step down. It's just a pity? Sun Xiaoxuan asked, what's a pity? Pan Jiang smiled bitterly and shook his head. Actually, I knew that Dong Tao and the other two would be in the same qualifying group as Qin Guang. I thought I was going to win, so I booked a table at Qin Yashian in advance. Now that I've lost, I've already paid for the table of food. Qin Yashian doesn't allow refunds, Sai. Why did you book a table at Qin Yashian? It's so expensive. Sun Xiaoxuan also knew that the food at Qin Yashian wasn't cheap. Pan Jiang continued to squeeze out a sincere, bitter smile on his face. I didn't think I would lose. What's more, this is the first time I'm treating you to a meal in my 3 years in university. Thinking about how much you've helped and taken care of me these past 3 years, deducting a few thousand yuan from my living expenses isn't a big deal. But now, Sai. Class rep, I have a presumptuous request. Even if I lost, can you give me some face and eat this meal on account of how sincere my apology to Qin Guang was? It would be a pity to waste it. Sun Xiaoxuan hesitated for a moment. Pan Jiang had already spoken up to this point. His performance just now was indeed very good. Now that the food had been ordered and he looked so pitiful, it would be a bit embarrassing if she didn't give him face. She was also a thrifty person by nature. Although it wasn't her money that was wasted, it was all because of her. It wouldn't be good for Pan Jiang to waste a few thousand yuan. However, she originally planned to bring a few of her good friends to escort her, but after hearing Pan Jiang mention Qin Yashian, she was even more shaken. That place could cost a few thousand yuan for 2 or 3 people, and 10,000 yuan for 7 or 8 people. After all, Sun Xiaoxuan was still a student. How could she bear to let someone treat her to a meal and spend tens of thousands of yuan? What should she do? In the end, she nodded hesitantly. Okay. She thought, it's just a meal. We're all classmates, so it shouldn't be a big deal, right? Chapter 47. In the end, Sun Xiaoxuan was still soft-hearted. Being the class monitor for 3 years made her overly optimistic about the people in the class. She really couldn't imagine how crazy Pan Jiang was. It was actually very difficult to make a person like Pan Jiang stop messing around. Moreover, he was the main force of the school basketball team, so he was always surrounded by girls. But since the second semester of his sophomore year, he really hadn't had a new girlfriend. Sun Xiaoxuan was the one who made him change. As the saying goes, the more unattainable something is, the more ecstatic it is. Sun Xiaoxuan was different from the girls who threw themselves at him. She was a girl from Jiangnan. She was gentle but stubborn. As the class monitor, she was capable and experienced, but she could always unconsciously show the sweetness and cuteness that belonged to a little girl. Coupled with her outstanding appearance, she was even more charming. When Pan Jiang was tired of the debauchery outside, he suddenly found that there was such a charming girl in the class, and his heart was immediately moved. At that time he felt like he was crawling through the mortal world, but when he looked back he found that the person was in the dim light. He even felt that he had lived the first 2 years of his university life like a dog. Obviously, the best girl was in his class, but he only cared about flirting outside, which resulted in a terrible reputation. Since then, he really changed his mind and tried to change his image in the class, trying to get closer to Sun Xiaoxuan bit by bit. Unfortunately, the falling flowers were heartless. He longed for Sun Xiaoxuan, but Sun Xiaoxuan's eyes were filled with his enemy, Qin Guang. He took the initiative to get closer again and again, but what he got in return was Sun Xiaoxuan drawing a clear line like Tai Chi, leaving him with no place to use his strength and no place to vent his anger. So in the past year, when he and Qin Guang's roommates were in the past, he always found Qin Guang and the others unpleasant to the eye. It was purely because he hated the house and its crow. He was not a steady person to begin with, and the pain and depression of the past year gradually twisted his mind. The so-called love in his heart was thrown to nothing again and again. When he saw how Sun Xiaoxuan treated Qin Guang and himself, he was so jealous that he wanted to go crazy. If you want to destroy someone, first make them crazy. He didn't know where he learned this principle from, but if you couldn't conquer a woman's heart, you could conquer her body first. This was especially true for girls from Jiangnan, who had always been gentle since ancient times. They would never forget the first man in their life. So, Pan Jiang began to plan with great effort. He wanted to conquer Sun Xiaoxuan's body first. In fact, he knew Counselor Zhuo Jingxi's thoughts even before Sun Xiaoxuan did. From the moment he took the initiative to provoke Qin Guang and the others after class, he slowly pushed the matter in the direction he wanted. All of it was for this meal. In the end, Qin Guang suddenly defeated Dong Tao today, nearly causing him to lose all his efforts. But fortunately he managed to obtain Sun Xiaoxuan's sympathy by gritting his teeth. As long as Sun Xiaoxuan went to the elegant pavilion with him, she wouldn't be able to control what happened next. Suppressing the joy in his heart, Pan Jiang sat alone in the private room of the elegant pavilion and quietly waited for Sun Xiaoxuan's arrival. He couldn't help but imagine the scene of him completely conquering Sun Xiaoxuan. Maybe she'll hate me in the beginning, but it doesn't matter. I'm sincere to her. I'm even willing to marry her. She'll slowly realize that I, Pan Jiang, am the best choice. Qin Guang, that pauper, what's so good about him? After Qin Guang returned to the dormitory, he didn't dare to be careless. He had to be on guard against Emperor of the Azure's sudden appearance and surprise. This feeling was a little tiring and painful. After reading for so long, Qin Guang's eyes were about to blur. He silently put down The Jewish Secret of Success, and sighed. When would these days come to an end? Emperor of the Azure, if you don't come out soon, I'm afraid the old man will finish all these books without your help. The old man will grow into a business tycoon by himself. At this moment his phone rang. He picked it up and saw that it was Sun Xiaoxuan's best friend. Did something really happen to Sun Xiaoxuan? Qin Guang frowned and began to feel nervous. He wasn't a complete idiot. He could vaguely sense that Sun Xiaoxuan, the beautiful class monitor, had feelings for him. As a pure-blooded old virgin, having a cute and obedient girlfriend like Sun Xiaoxuan was a great blessing in his life. However, for the past 6 months, Qin Guang's family had been in trouble. He was busy earning money to buy medicine for his mother. He really didn't have the mood for romance, and he didn't want to spend his precious time on romance. Besides, Sun Xiaoxuan was a good girl. Qin Guang couldn't be sure of his feelings for her, so he didn't dare to rashly accept the olive branch she quietly threw at him. He didn't want to hurt her. Of course, he had more or less tested Sun Xiaoxuan a few times. In the end, when you didn't think that way, she would always boldly give you hope. But when he seriously considered the matter, Sun Xiaoxuan timidly took a step back. With this, time had been wasted until now. Qin Guang. Not good. It's almost dinner time and Xiaoxuan still hasn't come back. I just asked around. I heard that Pan Jiang went out early in the afternoon. About 10 minutes ago, someone saw Xiaoxuan on the commercial street outside the school. I suspect that Xiaoxuan went to eat with Pan Jiang. But I don't know where exactly. Sun Xiaoxuan's best friend said anxiously on the phone. Qin Guang was stunned. He realized that he was a bit cheap. He clearly didn't want to accept this beautiful class monitor, but when he suddenly heard this, he felt a bit sour in his heart. If she's going to eat, then she's going. What's the big deal? Qin Guang's words came out of his mouth. Sun Xiaoxuan's best friend was also stunned. After a while, she said with some uncertainty, You're not worried? Qin Guang said in a bad mood, What's there to worry about? Isn't it just eating together? It's fine. That seems to be the case. I'm being too sensitive. Didn't you ask me to help you watch over her? I did say that. Anyway, thank you so much. It's fine. Qin Guang wanted to make himself appear more calm. He didn't want the other party to think that he really had that kind of feelings for Sun Xiaoxuan. Sun Xiaoxuan's best friend finally hung up the phone with a bitter smile. She secretly blamed Sun Xiaoxuan in her heart. You clearly have feelings for Qin Guang. Why did you go to eat with Pan Jiang for no reason? But now, judging from Qin Guang's tone, he must have gotten jealous. No, I'm also stupid. Why did I call Qin Guang? Damn. Xiaoxuan. Didn't I get you into trouble? I'm so stupid. On the other side, Qin Guang hung up the phone. He took the heavenly holy grail and planned on going downstairs to eat alone. After a while, Bai Fan and the other two would be back. Qin Guang was afraid that they would drag him to play games, so he planned on hiding for a while. Walking down the dormitory building, Qin Guang whistled and walked to the cafeteria. As he walked, his pace unconsciously became slower and slower. The whistle in his mouth gradually lost its pitch. He was very sad to find that he actually couldn't sit still because of the phone call from Sun Xiaoxuan's best friend. Why is my right eyelid twitching so much? It's like it's electric. Qin Guang's mind suddenly recalled Pan Zhang's lowered head when he apologized today. Pan Zhang's forcefully suppressed anger gradually surfaced in his mind. He must be plotting something to endure such humiliation. Something's wrong. Chapter 48. Old Master Qin Guang began to panic, and he even subconsciously tightened his grip on the cup. No, I have to go and see what's going on. Qin Guang picked up his phone and searched for Sun Xiaoxuan's number. He tried to call him, but the voice on the phone told him that the number he dialed could not be connected at the moment. Damn it, I can't get through. Where did she and Pan Zhang eat? Qin Guang never thought that since Pan Zhang was so well prepared, how could he not consider the problem of the phone? In his backpack, there was a signal jamming device that he asked someone to buy at a high price. He didn't want anyone to contact Sun Xiaoxuan. The phone couldn't get through, and Sun Xiaoxuan's best friend didn't know where they ate. Qin Guang reacted quickly and immediately thought of Pan Zhang's lackeys. The outside of the school was so big. It would be impossible to find them if they ran around like headless flies. The only thing he could do now was, of course, to dig out information from those guys' mouths. Pan Zhang and his buddy's dormitory was downstairs from Qin Guang's dormitory. Qin Guang walked down the stairs and happened to see them opening the door to eat. Blocking their path, Qin Guang roared, "Get in! I have something to ask you." With an urgent matter in mind, Qin Guang's attitude was very bad. As he spoke, he pushed the person in front of him, causing him to stumble. "Qin Guang, what are you doing?" The person who was almost pushed down by Qin Guang immediately made a fuss. Qin Guang thought for a moment. This place was still in the stairwell, and it wasn't good for passers-by to see him hitting someone. He didn't bother to be polite and pushed the person back into the room. Then he closed the door behind him. "Nothing, I just want to ask you something. You better hurry up and say it, I'm not in a good mood right now." At this moment, the few of them immediately exploded. The two sides already had a conflict, and Qin Guang's attitude clearly showed that he's here to cause trouble. "Damn, don't think we're really afraid of you. You are alone now. Believe it or not, we will beat you up." Another person reached out from the side and pushed Qin Guang, intending to push him against the door. "I can take care of you all by myself. I'm asking you, where the F***ck did Pan Zhang go?" As Qin Guang roared, he grabbed his opponent's outstretched hand, took a step forward and elbowed him in the chest. His other hand first threw the cup on the ground, then reached out from the side and pressed on the kid's face, pushing him back. His right foot tripped on the ground and he immediately fell on his butt. When the others saw that Qin Guang didn't say a word and actually attacked, they all planned to come over. They were also furious. "Damn it! Get him. You're taking advantage of me." These people felt that Qin Guang was simply looking down on them for daring to act so arrogantly in the presence of four of them. "I'm stepping on your nose, so what?" Qin Guang turned around, raised his leg and kicked the face of the person who was speaking arrogantly, leaving a large shoe print on his face. He then turned around and shrunk his neck, dodging the fist coming from his back. Although his waist was being hugged by someone, Qin Guang fiercely shook that person's hands away. He then grabbed another person's hair and slammed him against the wall. He did not even use his full strength, and this person's head slammed against the wall with a dong sound like a drum being hit. This unlucky fellow's head was instantly dizzy, and he was seeing stars, unable to differentiate between north, south, east, and west. The current Qin Guang was no longer an ignorant person. In the Sea of Su, he had trained in killing methods. Today he was already being merciful to the point where he couldn't hold back anymore. Otherwise, even with the strength of these four people, they wouldn't even be enough for him to squeeze them to death in a matter of minutes. Of course, these four people still had a guilty conscience, so they didn't really dare to fight Qin Guang with their lives. Qin Guang, on the other hand, was worried about Sun Xiaoxuan, so he was aggressive. Both sides' auras were waxing and waning, so it was normal to see who was superior the moment they made a move. "I ask you, where did Pan Zhang go tonight? Don't force me to be ruthless." Qin Guang glared angrily. As he spoke, he pulled back the hair of the brat whose head slammed against the wall and fiercely slammed it against the wall again. This time, his nose stopped 2 to 3 centimeters away from the wall, causing him to break out in cold sweat. Qin Guang then pushed his head back and fiercely glared at him. I ask you. Do you know? Do you know? This is the last time I ask you. As Qin Guang's anger erupted, the ruthlessness that he had accumulated for 20 years on the N Royal was released without reservation. These 4 people were scared silly. They had known Qin Guang for 3 years, but they had never seen him so ferocious. Even when they had fought on the field because of Pan Jiang, Qin Guang hadn't gone as crazy as he was today, wanting to take someone's life. What the hell? These people felt as if they weren't facing the familiar Qin Guang of the past, but a butcher who killed people like scything flax. You won't say? You're very strong-willed, aren't you? Qin Guang only gave them a few seconds to think and be at a loss. He was really in a hurry. Soon after, he bent his hand and pulled the brat's head back by a foot. He was really going to hit it. If he really hit it, this unlucky brat's nose would probably collapse. Pan Jiang went to the Qinya Pavilion. He asked Sun Xiaoxuan to eat at the Qinya Pavilion. Someone finally roared. You guys better pray that nothing happens to Sun Xiaoxuan, or else the 4 of you will follow Pan Jiang into big trouble. After getting the answer he wanted, Qin Guang threw the person to the side, turned around, picked up the heavenly holy grail from the ground and ran downstairs. After waiting for a long time for Qin Guang to leave, these 4 people finally came back to their senses. They looked at each other in dismay, remembering that the 4 of them had been completely subdued by Qin Guang. They felt ashamed and scared. They actually didn't know Pan Jiang's real plan, but seeing Qin Guang's anxious and angry appearance, they thought to themselves, could it be that this lord really planned to do such a despicable thing? If it was true, then wouldn't these people who knew about it become criminals? What are you waiting for? Hurry up and call Brother Pan Jiang. Tell him that Qin Guang is coming. No, I can't get through. I don't know what's going on. That's right, Sun Xiaoxuan's cell phone couldn't get through, and Pan Jiang's cell phone was also the same. However, he felt that it was good that no one could contact him. He didn't think that the fiendish Qin Guang was already here. Ever since she sat in this private room, Sun Xiaoxuan couldn't sit still. She looked at the expensive delicacies on the table and faintly regretted coming here. It wasn't because she noticed anything, but she felt that she didn't have any thoughts about Pan Jiang, so wouldn't Qin Guang misunderstand her if she came to eat such a valuable meal from Pan Jiang and Qin Guang heard about it? Pan Jiang, you're too polite. Why did you order so much? We can't finish it all. Sun Xiaoxuan hesitated, unwilling to move her chopsticks. Pan Jiang tried to squeeze out a harmless smile. Class Rep Sun, all these dishes have been ordered. It would be a waste if we don't eat them. Alright, I heard that pineapple soup is very popular in your hometown. Try it first to stimulate your appetite. Let's work harder and finish it. Otherwise, my heart will hurt. I don't have any other intentions. I just want to express my gratitude. When I go back, I won't gossip about this. Besides, you're my class rep. It's normal for me to treat you to a meal. Pan Jiang said as he pushed a plate of crystal-clear pineapple soup in front of Sun Xiaoxuan. He didn't guess wrong. Sun Xiaoxuan's hometown was indeed very popular to eat this kind of sweet food. Sun Xiaoxuan hesitated slightly. She thought that it wouldn't be good if she didn't eat it. Forget it, pineapple soup seemed to be the cheapest thing on the table. She would just eat a little bit and then hurry back to school. Pan Jiang's smile became incomparably natural for the first time as he watched Sun Xiaoxuan ladle 2 spoonfuls of pineapple soup into her bowl. Great, it's done. Chapter 49. The stuff Pan Jiang mixed into the pineapple soup didn't have any strange smell, so Sun Xiaoxuan didn't guard against him. However, she and Pan Jiang didn't have much in common. Since they started eating, she had to eat her fill. The dining table fell into an awkward silence. If it weren't for the guilt in his heart, Pan Jiang would definitely feel that this expensive meal was exceptionally useless. He had spent so much money, but the other party didn't even want to say anything. But now he wasn't worried at all. It didn't matter if she didn't want to talk. Sure enough, the meal didn't last long before Sun Xiaoxuan's eyes gradually became misty, and his vision became unclear. At first she thought she was too tired. She rubbed her temples and said, "Strange, why do I feel so sleepy? Pan Jiang, are you done eating? I have to go back to school." She put her hands on the table and tried to get up. Pan Jiang couldn't let her leave like this. He quickly got up and blocked Sun Xiaoxuan's way. "Class rep, you can't just leave like this. There's so much left on the table. Help me eat some more." Sun Xiaoxuan's dizziness became more and more severe. This wasn't normal fatigue. It was like the world was spinning. She stood still, but she felt like the room was spinning. No matter how innocent she was, she knew something was wrong. No, I have to go back. Pan Jiang, thank you for your kindness today. See you tomorrow. Sun Xiaoxuan staggered toward the door of the private room. She didn't even take 2 steps before her body suddenly went limp and she slowly fell to the ground. Sun Xiaoxuan fiercely bit his tongue to clear his mind. Then he stood up with the help of the wall and reached for the handle of the room's door. Pan Jiang pressed his palm on the door. Class rep, you seem to be sick. How about I take you to rest? Sun Xiaoxuan clenched her teeth and slapped Pan Jiang's hand away. Move. Let me out. I'm going to call for help. Pan Jiang finally tore off his disguise. Go ahead and call. If you can make a sound, then go ahead and scream. The soundproofing of this private room is better than you think. I'll count to 3 and you can go to sleep. When you wake up, everything will be fine. Go to sleep. Get out. Get lost. Although Sun Xiaoxuan's tone was harsh, his voice was getting softer and softer until it was almost inaudible like a mosquito. I really didn't expect you to be this kind of person. I misjudged you. When she said this, she had more or less guessed what kind of fate awaited her, and her heart couldn't help but feel even more desolate. But now that things had come to this, who could be blamed? If he wanted to blame someone, he could only blame himself for being too stupid and naive to actually not see through Pan Jiang's true intentions. Yes, if he didn't have bad intentions, he wouldn't have asked Dong Tao from the Department of Architecture to snipe Chen Guang in the competition, and he wouldn't have spent thousands of yuan to book a seat in the elegant pavilion. I was such a fool. I regret it so much. Sun Xiaoxuan truly didn't have the slightest bit of strength left. Her heart was filled with regret as she slowly collapsed to the ground. Before she lost consciousness, her last thought was that if she was truly defiled, then she wouldn't want to live anymore. Looking at Sun Xiaoxuan slowly lying on the ground, Pan Jiang's face revealed a trace of a sinister smile. He seemed to be talking to himself but also seemed to be saying it deliberately for Sun Xiaoxuan to hear. You think I want to do this? You forced me to do this. You forced me to do this. What's so good about Chen Guang in the end? Why do you only look at him? Even if you're throwing yourself at him, you still want to get close to him. Why won't you look at me straight in the eye? I've clearly already changed my mind. Why won't you even give me a little chance? You're not fair. You're not fair at all. If I had a choice, I wouldn't want to do this. But don't worry, after today, everything will be fine. I will be responsible for you and I won't mistreat you. Trust me. Pan Jiang had ordered a bottle of wine before, and now he first opened the bottle and poured some on the ground, filling the entire private room with the smell of wine. When the waiter asked, he could say that his classmate was drunk, and these people wouldn't have any suspicions. Pan Jiang slowly lowered his body, intending to pick up Sun Xiaoxuan. The expression on his face was extremely complicated. It was 30% ferocious, 30% excited, and 30% frenzied, with a hint of complacency from his evil plan succeeding. As a private restaurant, the waiter outside the elegant pavilion wouldn't easily enter without a guest's invitation. After all, this place was frequented by big shots, and these people didn't like to be disturbed when they were discussing business. Therefore he could completely slowly lift Sun Xiaoxuan up. He was extremely pleased in his heart. No one can stop me from getting Sun Xiaoxuan anymore. The smile on Pan Jiang's face gradually blossomed. He bent down, and his palm was getting closer and closer to Sun Xiaoxuan's neck. At this moment, the private room's door suddenly made a clicking sound. Pan Jiang's body quivered. What's going on? There's no reason for the elegant pavilion's waiter to open the door for no reason. Not good. I have to quickly help Sun Xiaoxuan up, or else it'll be hard to explain. Pan Jiang hurriedly quickened his movements, but the door was suddenly opened. Pan Jiang's hand maintained the posture of wanting to help Sun Xiaoxuan up, and it was only a few centimeters away from Sun Xiaoxuan's neck. At the same time, he subconsciously raised his head to look at the door. Then, his movements suddenly froze as if someone had cast a body-freezing spell on him. Chen Guang, what are you doing here? Pan Jiang's voice sounded a bit shaky. The so-called guilty conscience described his current state of mind. With Chen Guang's experience, he had already guessed what was going on the moment he saw this scene. He was so angry that he laughed instead. He took a step forward and stared at Pan Jiang. I've really learned something new. Even if I used the greatest evil to analyze you, I absolutely wouldn't have thought that you would be so audacious to this extent. Pan Jiang, you're really going to break the bottom line of the word, despicable. As Chen Guang spoke, he fiercely pushed Pan Jiang's shoulder, pushing him back from his bent posture and causing him to fall on his butt. Chen Guang, don't you slander me? Pan Jiang still wanted to deny it. He propped up his body and argued fiercely. On the other hand, Chen Guang had already bent over to help Sun Xiaoxuan up. He let her sit on the chair and put his hand under her nose to test her breathing. Only then did he let out a sigh of relief. After doing all this, Qin Guang slowly got up, clenched his fist, and walked step by step toward Pan Jiang. I slander you? No, I'll beat you up so badly right now. Don't think that I'm afraid of you. Pan Jiang had played basketball for a long time, so he was stronger and taller than Qin Guang. Qin Guang's sudden appearance first brought him a lot of mental pressure, which made him retreat for a while. But now that the matter had been seen through, the raging fire of jealousy in his heart suddenly turned into hysterical hatred for Qin Guang. Why do you think I had to take the risk out of desperation and cause trouble to this step? Isn't it all because of you? You're not afraid of me? Of course you don't need to be afraid of me. I also don't need you to be afraid of me. I just want to teach you that no matter what you do, if you make a mistake you have to pay the price. At this time, Qin Guang's heart was burning with anger. He had no interest in wasting time talking with him. It was more straightforward to see the truth with his fists. As soon as his voice fell, he threw a punch at Pan Jiang's face. Chapter 50. Pan Jiang was not a pushover. He raised his hand to block. He felt that he was taller and stronger than Qin Guang. If they really fought, he might not lose. But the next moment, Pan Jiang realized that he seemed to have made a big mistake. Qin Guang's fist was too fast. Pan Jiang didn't even have time to raise his hand. Half of his face was shaken. His mind went blank and his whole body was hit against the wall of the private room. Pan Jiang felt that his teeth seemed to be loose, and the skin of his mouth was broken. When he shook his head violently, the saliva that came out of his mouth was mixed with blood. Unfortunately, he didn't spit on anyone. At most, it was a bloody mouth on the wall. After punching this guy, Qin Guang didn't stop. He clenched his left hand into a fist and hit Pan Jiang's stomach from below. With a muffled sound, Pan Jiang felt that his intestines were about to burst. Oh! He let out a long cry of pain. His hands covered his stomach and the pain was unbearable. Why was Qin Guang so good at fighting? There was no reason. I will King kill you. Pan Jiang fell back. His left hand grabbed the solid wood chair, and he was about to raise the chair to hit Qin Guang. You actually used drugs on your own classmate. How could you do such a thing? I will make sure that you won't be able to do that for the rest of your life. Seeing that he still dared to fight back, Qin Guang was hot-tempered. How could he think so much? He suddenly raised his leg and kicked this guy's crotch. Pan Jiang's cry of pain turned into a scream. His voice became sharper and sharper. He curled up his body and lay on the ground. He curled up like a cooked prawn and his body was still trembling. From the moment Qin Guang entered the room and started beating Pan Jiang, to the moment he completely put him down, only 30 seconds had passed. What a bastard. I will beat the sh*t out of you. Qin Guang slowly calmed down his breathing. The opponent was too weak. No, he was too strong. This fight wasn't satisfying enough. Forget it. Sun Xiaoxuan didn't seem to be at a disadvantage. It was meaningless to continue beating Pan Jiang on the ground. Sir, you stop, I'm calling the police. At this moment, the waitress of the elegant pavilion finally realized that something had happened in the private room. As soon as she came over, she saw Pan Jiang lying on the ground in a half-dead state. The poor waitress shrunk her neck and said timidly. Qin Guang's anger had yet to dissipate, and his fiendish appearance made her very afraid. However, she could not escape because of her duty. Qin Guang did not have a good impression of Qin Yixian. Call the police? Just report it. This bastard actually drugged the food when he was eating with a female classmate. If something really happens, your Qin Yixian won't be able to escape the responsibility. But you can't hit him. How could you hit someone? I really did call the police. No, the manager had already called the police before I came here. Hearing this, the waitress looked at Pan Jiang, who was still curled up on the ground, with a disgusted expression. However, she still said so as if she was reminding Qin Guang to run away. Qin Guang knew that he had beaten Pan Jiang badly. Since Qin Yixian had already called the police, there was no point in running away. He would be found sooner or later, so he simply did not plan to run away. However, it was a bit troublesome. Sun Xiaoxuan was still unconscious, and he did not know if the drug Pan Jiang used had any side effects. Just as he was fretting about this matter, a large group of people rushed in from the entrance of Qin Yixian. It was Bai Fan, the three animals, and Sun Xiaoxuan's girlfriends. Pan Jiang's 4 followers also seemed to be cowering outside the door. They wanted to come in and see the situation, but they did not dare to. Bai Fan and the other 2 rushed over. Seeing that Qin Guang was safe and sound, and Pan Jiang was curled up on the ground in a half-dead state. They all let out a long breath. They were afraid that Qin Guang would be at a disadvantage, but now it seemed that Pan Jiang had been dealt with. *CK. Trash. I'll kill you. Xiong'er was indeed Xiong'er. After he squeezed through the waiter and rushed into the private room, he lifted a chair and wanted to hit Pan Jiang without thinking. On the other side, Lin Jingwei and Bai Fan were quick to react. They quickly grabbed this guy by the waist and dragged him back. Xiong'er, don't be impulsive. Pan Jiang, this grandson, has been beaten badly by Brother Guang. You can't add another knife. Don't kill him, it's not worth it. You'll also hurt Brother Guang. Lin Jingwei shouted. It was obviously not easy to stop Xiong'er, who had fallen into a berserk state. Sun Xiaoxuan's girlfriends hurried to Sun Xiaoxuan's side. Seeing that she had really fainted, each of them wanted to find a pair of scissors and stab Pan Jiang on the ground. The private room immediately became noisy, and it seemed to be in a mess. Okay. Stop messing around. Xiong'er, you be quiet too. Qin Guang patted the table. Don't waste time here. Hurry up and take Sun Xiaoxuan to the hospital for a checkup. Qin Guang's words reminded everyone, and they were in a mess again. Two girls, one on the left and one on the right, carried Sun Xiaoxuan out, and Qin Guang asked Bai Fan and the other two to follow to help. Brother Guang, you're not going? Before leaving, Bai Fan saw that Qin Guang didn't follow, so he turned around and asked. Qin Guang shook his head. I'm not going. The people from Qingye Xian called the police. I have to wait for the police to come and deal with this matter. I can't leave yet. He was not afraid of slanderous accusations. He was acting bravely for a just cause. Even if he injured Pan Jiang, it was called getting rid of a pest for the people. Everyone was helpless, and they were also worried that Sun Xiaoxuan's condition couldn't be delayed any longer. Qin Guang looked confident, so he finally left. After this person left, Pan Jiang's 4 lackeys came over in fear. They wanted to help Pan Jiang up, but they didn't dare to. At this time, Pan Jiang had stopped struggling, but he still lay on the ground and refused to get up. His crotch was still in pain, and he was even more afraid that after he got up, Qin Guang would not let him go and hit him again, so he might as well just lie down and pretend to be dead. In addition, he vaguely felt that when Qin Guang kicked his vital part, it was as if that part was going to be kicked until it exploded. He began to worry that he wouldn't really be crippled, would he? Qin Guang, I know I was wrong. Can you let me call 120? I want to go to the hospital, I'm seriously injured. Worried about the rest of his life, Pan Jiang summoned up his courage, endured the pain and said with a trembling voice. Qin Guang, who was sitting on the chair, turned his head and glanced at him, but didn't say a word. Pan Jiang was suddenly speechless and the other 4 could only look at each other. After waiting for about 15 minutes, the siren of the Qingye Xian building sounded. The police had finally arrived. Name: Qin Guang. Age: 20. Occupation: junior at Gokyo University. Why did you hit him? Because he deserved to be hit. He wanted to drug and rape my classmate. Bang. You hit him because you think he deserves to be hit? You even seriously injured him and hospitalized him? If everyone thinks like you, then what's the use of us police? This is a society ruled by law and you're abusing justice. You're breaking the law. Do you understand? You're already a university student, why don't you have any legal awareness? Moreover, only us law enforcers have the power to convict suspects. What right do you have to say that about others? The beautiful female police officer slammed the table and stood up. She was so emotional that she even knocked over the chair under her, but when she stood up. Chapter 51. Qin Guang sat in the dimly lit interrogation room with his hands on the table. He slightly raised his head to look at the policewoman in front of him. His expression was very calm, and he didn't show any change in his expression because of her sudden anger. The policewoman standing in front of him was about 1.7 meters tall. She was considered tall among women. She had a slender figure, but she wasn't delicate. Because of her long-term training, she looked exceptionally heroic and tall. She wore her hair in a short braid and looked very capable. As she got angry, her rapid breathing caused her breasts to move up and down, which was particularly eye-catching under the light shining from the side. Qin Guang was slightly absent-minded. He subconsciously thought to himself, what a valiant and heroic policewoman. Stinking brat. Where are you looking? I'm asking you a question. Put your attitude back on the right track. The beautiful policewoman slammed the table again. She was infuriated by the frivolous gaze that Qin Guang had unconsciously revealed. About half an hour ago, this policewoman and another male police officer came to the Qingye Xian. Chen Guang followed the two of them back to the police station to be interrogated. Pan Jiang lay pitifully on the ground for about 20 minutes. Finally, he waited for the ambulance and was sent to the hospital. Before the interrogation began, news came from the hospital. They roughly confirmed Pan Jiang's injuries. Internal bleeding and multiple soft tissue contusions were minor. The most serious injury was the crotch that Chen Guang had kicked. Perhaps it wouldn't be crippled, but he would have to undergo surgery. It was estimated that it would take at least a few months for him to fully recover. In short, his balls were almost cracked and needed to be repaired. The policewoman felt that a person like Chen Guang was a hot-headed youth who didn't know how to control his strength. What annoyed her the most was this kind of insensible young man. He was easily hot-blooded, looking for trouble, turning small matters into big ones and big ones into big ones. She found a lot of work for them for no reason. She was busy dealing with these disputes and fights all day long. She didn't have time to participate in the real big cases. What's more, Chen Guang was indeed ruthless. According to the hospital, the one who beat him up must be a veteran among veterans. Every blow was aimed at the vital points. That was steady, accurate, and ruthless. Now, Chen Guang's attitude could not be considered to be cooperative. He actually said that the other party should be beaten, and the police comrade almost lost control of her emotions. The colleague sitting next to her hurriedly coughed heavily, signaling her to calm down. She didn't want to use violence to extort a confession. Although she had really done this before, the other party was a student after all. It wouldn't be easy to clean up the mess if things got out of hand. Wang Long, why are you coughing for no reason? Go and take some medicine if your throat is uncomfortable. Although the policewoman said so, she still restrained her temper, straightened the chair, and sat down again. I asked you a question. Chen Guang, why did you hit him? The policeman named Wang Long was afraid that the hot-tempered policewoman would fly into a rage again, so he quickly took over the questioning. As he spoke, he also stuffed the notebook in his hand in front of the policewoman, indicating for her to make a statement. Chen Guang rolled his eyes. Didn't I already tell you? If you don't believe me, what can I do? This reason of yours is not convincing enough. The law is based on evidence. The evidence we saw is that you seriously injured him. As for your statement that the victim intended to rape him, that's only your side of the story, it's not valid. The policewoman, who obviously had a deep prejudice against Chen Guang, coldly said from the side. Chen Guang spread his hands. Right now, you are taking my statement, not extorting a confession by torture. You can ask me whatever you want and I will answer all of it truthfully. Whether what I said is true or false, collecting evidence and the like, is your responsibility, not mine. Even if you ask me 1,000 times, 10,000 times, I will still say the same thing. Believe it or not, I will prosecute you for provocation. You will be locked up for at least a few months. The policewoman slapped the table, about to flip out. Police comrade, if you are not feeling well, you should rest for 2 days and then come back to handle the case. I understand that female comrade has a few days in a month when you are not in a good mood. But don't always glare at me, it's meaningless. I am a law-abiding citizen. Well, even if I injured Pan Jiang, it's just a fight in a normal sense. It can't be considered as picking a quarrel, right? I still understand this little bit of the law. Besides, the victim is still in a coma, she is also in the hospital. When she wakes up, why don't you go and ask her? At that time, you will understand that I am acting bravely for a just cause. Although this policewoman was really beautiful, her attitude made Chen Guang extremely unhappy. He was too lazy to pay attention to her. In any case, she had already made it clear that she wanted to convict him. Chen Guang did not do anything shameful. He was not afraid of ghosts knocking on his door in the middle of the night. Therefore, he might as well be stubborn with her. What? This policewoman was about to go berserk again. Wutong, don't talk too much. You can't handle a case with your emotions. Let me do the questioning. Wang Long couldn't stand it anymore. In his heart, he secretly agreed with Chen Guang's words. In the past 2 days, Wutong was really fiery. Usually she was very hot-tempered, but today she added fuel to the fire. Wutong and Chen Guang glared at each other. Although she was hot-tempered, she was not completely unreasonable. She just snorted and didn't say anything. This fiery policewoman finally calmed down. It didn't take long for Chen Guang to finish his statement, but he still couldn't leave. Before the matter was completely cleared up, he was afraid that he would still be detained. Since Wu Tong and Wang Long were responsible for this case, after finishing Chen Guang's statement, they immediately rushed to Wujing City Hospital. Pan Jiang and Sun Xiaoxuan were now in the hospital. After waiting for less than an hour, things changed again. Pan Jiang's family had rushed over, making a ruckus. They were looking for connections everywhere. It seemed that they wanted to make Qin Guang eat jail food. Tang Ying, do you think that girl was really drugged? In the corner of Pan Zhang's ward, Wu Tong pulled a female doctor in a white coat and asked. If Qin Guang was here, he would certainly recognize this female doctor as the drunken beauty who treated his kindness as donkey's liver and lung. At this time, Tang Ying seemed to be absent-minded. No one knew what she was thinking. She seemed to be daydreaming. Wu Tong, what did you say? I didn't hear you clearly. Little girl, cooperating with the police can drive away your mind? You're too much. Well, I know that you're a returned doctor. Letting you handle this matter is a waste of your talent, but we're good sisters. Helping me a little won't make you unhappy? Wu Tong and Tang Ying seemed to be very familiar with each other. Tang Ying gave Wu Tong a supercilious look. Isn't it written in black and white on this test report? That girl's blood has an excessive amount of triazolam. Isn't this a drug? You're still asking me? This family is really shameless. Their own son drugged a girl in the same class. Getting beaten is already a light punishment. He deserves to be hanged. Now he actually has the face to sue his student? If the upper beam is not straight, the lower beam will be crooked. Hey. Saying such words in front of the police, I will keep a close eye on you. You're a potential criminal. Besides, even if Pan Jiang did this, convicting him is the police's job. That boy doesn't have the qualifications. He injured someone, so naturally he should be punished by the law. Half of Wu Tong's mind was joking with her, but in her heart she was thinking, Qin Guang, that hateful boy really didn't seem to be lying? This guy simply doesn't know what's good for him. If his attitude was a little better, I might have the heart to help him get out of this. But now he deserves it. Well, I don't have a common language with a policewoman like you. You always have your reasons. You, the police, are always right. Think about it, that boy was there in time. If he wasn't there, Pan Zhang would have had his way and the girl would have jumped off the building. Someone else's life is gone and you want to convict them? Is it useful? Can you bring the dead back? Alright, there's nothing for me to do here. There are still patients waiting for me in the inpatient department. I'll go first. Looking at this family is annoying. Tang Ying said very disdainfully. She deeply sympathized with Sun Xiaoxuan's experience. It was purely because this incident reminded her of her own experience that day. It really made sense. If it wasn't for that kind-hearted taxi driver, she might have become a victim of jumping off the building. Alas, it was a pity that that person actually put her phone into the blacklist. When she changed the number and called him, when he heard her voice, he directly hung up, making him angry. Wu Tong didn't know what to do with this bestie doctor who grew up with her. She could only glare at her back. You ignorant person. I'm too lazy to argue with you. Chapter 52. Officer Wu, you've arrested the criminal, right? We want to see him. I want to give him a kick in the crotch. This scumbag, how could he kick our little Jiang like this? How could he be so cruel? Our Pan family is going to have no more descendants. I'm going to sue him. I'm going to jail for life. Just as Wu Tong walked over, a fat woman rushed out from the crowd and blocked her way, shouting. This fat woman had a head of fluffy brown curly hair, and she was still wearing a glittering gold dress on such a hot day. Her whole body exuded the aura of a nouveau riche, and as she clamored, her hands and feet danced in joy. A faint stench entered Wu Tong's nose, making her feel uncomfortable. Wu Tong frowned and took a step back. Family member, please calm down. The person who injured Pan Jiang has indeed been detained at the police station, but I'm afraid this case isn't that simple, right? Your Pan Jiang had drugged a girl's food when he treated her to a meal. If you really want to sue, I'm afraid that girl will have to sue Pan Jiang first before you can sue the boy. What? How is that possible? Our little Jiang would never do such a thing. Don't slander us. You're a police officer, so you need evidence. You said that the girl was drugged, but where's the evidence? Don't think that you can distort the truth just because you're a police officer. Believe it or not, I'll get someone to skin you alive. Look at you, you must have entered the police station through the back door. Pan Zhang's fat mother was instantly enraged and pressed towards Wu Tong. Wu Tong's impression of Pan Zhang's family had already fallen to the freezing point because of what Tang Ying had said. She was already a hot-tempered person, and now that this fat mother had dared to provoke her, she was no pushover. She glared at her and took a step forward, glaring fiercely at the fat woman. If I didn't have this skin on me, I would have torn your mouth off right now. If you're that capable, why don't you try and peel my mouth off? Wu Tong's sudden outburst stunned the fat woman. Why are you looking at me like that? Are police officers not human? Should they glare at you and blow at you? Do the police deserve to be punched bags? You don't even have the slightest bit of respect. Did you take the wrong medicine or reincarnate into the wrong body? Angry at me? Fine, your mouth belongs to you. You can say whatever you want. I don't care. But I don't need you to teach me how to handle a case. As for the evidence, this is the evidence in my hand. This is the test report of the girl just now. Wu Tong said as she waved her hand. It was the test report. Before she could finish her sentence, Wu Tong suddenly hid the report behind her back. You want to steal it? It's useless even if you snatch it and tear it apart. I'm not the only one in my hands anyway. That vixen must have purposely taken the medicine to frame my Xiaojiang. Even if she was drugged, it had nothing to do with Xiaojiang. You don't have any evidence. The fat woman howled from the side. Truly, the most despicable people were invincible. Officer, I wonder if the dishes and drinks on the table count as evidence? Just then Lin Jingwei, Bai Fan and Xiong Jinko walked over from the side. They were carrying the takeaway from the elegant table. The three of them actually brought all the food on the table with them. As Lin Jingwei said this, he waved the bag in his hand. Wu Tong's eyes lit up. You're Qin Guang's classmate, right? You're very cautious. Lin Jingwei smiled and nodded. Of course. Brother Guang is our brother. We roughly knew what happened before we went there. We definitely can't let Brother Guang be wronged. Wu Tong couldn't help but look at Lin Jingwei. A typical university student wouldn't be so meticulous. Qin Guang had a bad temper, but he had a good classmate. Officer. Qin Guang didn't break the law. He's innocent. He did it to save me. Just then a head popped out from the ward next to them. It was Sun Xiaoxuan with a pale face. She had just woken up from a coma when the girl beside her told her that Qin Guang had been arrested. She didn't care that she was weak all over. She hurriedly got up and went to the police station to testify for Qin Guang. As soon as she popped her head out of the ward, she saw Wu Tong. She didn't think much of it. She said weakly while holding the wall, trying to walk over. Xiaoxuan, you should rest a bit more. You can't even stand properly. The other girls followed her in a flurry and hurried to support her so that she wouldn't fall. Sun Xiaoxuan panted and walked in front of Wu Tong. She said again, Officer, you can't wrongly accuse a good person. You vixen. You seduced my Xiaojiang. I'll beat you to death. Pan Zhang's fat mother suddenly jumped out like a ghost. She was about to chase and beat Sun Xiaoxuan. Sun Xiaoxuan was a weak girl. She had never seen such a shrew before. She was shocked. Wu Tong grabbed Pan Zhang's mother's arm in her hand and twisted it with a little force. She then held her back and said, Family member, you'd better calm down. Violence can't solve the problem. If you insist on being unreasonable, no matter what your background is, I will still charge you with obstruction of law enforcement. Don't think that I don't have the right to do so. You're in cahoots, right? What kind of power does Qin Guang's family have? How rich are they? How can there be no law in this world? My son's balls were kicked and you're still covering up for a criminal. The fat woman continued to make a scene. Enough. Stop it. A middle-aged man finally couldn't stand it anymore. He came over and took the fat woman from her. He looked at Wu Tong deeply. Officer, in short, our Pan family almost lost its bloodline this time. We won't let it go so easily. But we're also law-abiding citizens. We'll let the law speak for itself. My lawyer will be here soon. You said that my son drugged this girl. Whether it's true or not, this girl isn't hurt right now, right? My son is still in surgery. The only victim is my son. I won't let this go. This man was Pan Zhang's father. He had a big belly and was dressed in a suit and leather shoes. He looked quite imposing. Of course, everything will be handled according to the law. Wu Tong raised her eyebrows. She could tell that the middle-aged man was threatening her, which made her even angrier. Who am I, Wu Tong? The Iron Lady of Wenxing Town Branch. Why would I be afraid of you? In the end, Sun Xiaoxuan also followed Wu Tong to the police station. Although she was also very tired and sleepy, and even walking was difficult for her, she still had to leave the hospital and followed them. Before leaving, Wu Tong kindly asked Tang Ying to take a look at Sun Xiaoxuan. Although Sun Xiaoxuan was drugged and his body was a little weak, it was not a big deal. As long as he went back and had a good rest, he would recover by tomorrow morning. During the recording, Sun Xiaoxuan almost fell asleep several times, but she gritted her teeth and insisted. She explained everything clearly, from the bet she made with Pan Zhang a few days ago, to the fact that someone saw Pan Zhang eating with the swimming team, to the swimming competition today. She didn't leave out a single detail. Alright, we've more or less understood the situation. The public will decide who's right and who's wrong. You should go back to school and rest. Wu Tong said as she closed her notebook. Officer, look, Pan Jiang tried to drug me. Qin Guang is innocent, right? Sun Xiaoxuan didn't give up. Wu Tong shook her head. I can't tell you how it'll be handled in the end. In short, you have to believe in the law, okay? Look at you, you can barely keep your eyes open. Why don't you go back to school? When facing Sun Xiaoxuan, Wu Tong's attitude was much better than when she was talking to Qin Guang. No, I'm not going back. I'm going to wait for Qin Guang on that chair. Sun Xiaoxuan was stubborn. She got up and sat on a chair in the hall. Then she tilted her head and fell asleep. The girls had no choice. After a brief discussion, one of them stayed with Sun Xiaoxuan, while the others went back to school. Wu Tong could only stare at them, but she couldn't chase them away. It was clear from their attitude that they would only leave after Qin Guang was released. What a headache. She couldn't even go home and sleep. She wanted to see how that kid was doing. Even if he really saved the damsel in distress, she still had to teach him a lesson. Why did he hit someone so hard? Seeing that Wu Tong wanted to go to the detention room again, Wang Long stopped her. Let me go ask him. Wu Tong glared at Wang Long. Why are you stopping me? I'm afraid you'll fight with him again, Wang Long said honestly. Wang Long, let me tell you. You're destined to be alone for life. Even if you think so, don't say it out loud. Don't worry, we already know the truth. I'll control my temper. You must be tired. Go to the lounge and sleep. I'm just going to ask him a few questions and understand the situation. Nothing will go wrong. Wu Tong looked at Wang Long with disdain and promised him again. Wang Long had no choice but to let her go alone. He yawned. I'm really tired. I'll go sleep first. Chapter 53. Qin Guang was the only one in the detention room of the Wenxing Town Subbureau. His phone was confiscated, which made him bored. Fortunately, his drinking cup was still there. The door suddenly opened, and the excessively beautiful policewoman from before walked in. Qin Guang raised his head and glanced at her, then turned his head back and continued to stare at the ceiling, daydreaming. He didn't say anything. He was very tired. Ever since he was locked in the detention room, he had been trying hard to control his mind and not think about meaningless things. He had no choice. Before he understood the omen of the appearance of the heavenly Holy Grail, he had to be a positive young man, lest the world in the cup create some strange test for him. Unfortunately, a person's mind couldn't be easily controlled, especially at such a boring time. Therefore, it was very difficult for him to control his mind. Even though he clearly saw Wu Tong come in, his mind couldn't wrap itself around it, and he didn't want to pay attention to her. His attitude instantly became repulsive in Wu Tong's eyes. Wu Tong also felt strange. Was she fated to be the nemesis of this kid? Otherwise, why would she lose control of her emotions when she saw him? After exchanging a few words with Qin Guang, Wu Tong finally understood why she couldn't maintain a peaceful attitude towards this boy. The reason was simple. This kid was simply stubborn. He lacked the least bit of fear and respect for a policewoman like her. Since Sun Xiaoxuan has already proven that I attacked Pan Jiang to save him, and you've even collected the food on the table as evidence, why don't you let me go and arrest him? Qin Guang was also very unhappy. It wasn't a good idea to be locked up here. What if the Emperor of the Azure appeared and he was daydreaming, and he was locked up in the detention room? Who knew if the retarded heavenly Holy Grail would create a test for him to spend the rest of his life in jail? The old man didn't want to be a jail king. However, this policewoman named Wu Tong didn't have any intention of letting him go. He was very unhappy, very dissatisfied, and very unhappy. No. Although you said so, Pan Jiang did not commit a crime, so we can't arrest him. But you're different. Your actions have already constituted the fact that you've injured someone, so I can't let you go. Everything has to be done according to the law. It's not like what you think. Otherwise, why do you need us policemen? Something's wrong. Why are you interrogating me now? Do I need a brat like you to teach me how to do things? I'm here to tell you. Even if you're in the right, you can't hurt people like that. You've already rendered him powerless to resist, so why did you have to give him the final kick? You have no right to judge whether a person is good or bad, and you have no right to judge him. Do you understand? This is the police's business, not yours. Wu Tong said a lot of things in rapid succession. As she spoke, she slammed the table in the detention room. Qin Guang sneered. Is that so? He didn't rape her and didn't commit a crime, so he was innocent? Do you police have to wait for someone to be raped before you can do anything? The victim has already been harmed and now you want to seek justice? Then what's the use of keeping you? That was why the world was so dirty and dark. That's why I want to beat him up. Not only that, if I see him again, I want to beat him up. I want to beat him up so that he can't have any bad thoughts about girls in the future. This is called getting rid of evil for the people. Besides, since you said that this is your business, then where were you when Sun Xiaoshuan was unconscious? Can you count on me? If it wasn't me who would uphold justice for Sun Xiaoshuan? Or do you think she deserved to be defiled by Pan Jiang? At that time, what's the use of arresting Pan Jiang? Moreover, I did knock Pan Jiang down, but at that time he didn't completely lose the ability to fight back. If I didn't give him the final kick, God knows if he would have kicked my head. You hurt people and you're still saying that you're in the right. Wu Tong was so angry that she laughed. Yes. I hurt people, so I'll pay for it, okay? It's not like he's disabled or something, so I'll just pay for the medical fees. This doesn't constitute a crime, right? Nowadays, are men not allowed to fight? Qin Guang felt that he didn't do anything wrong. He was really tired of this policewoman's preaching. You can beat people just because you have money? You can casually hurt people? What's the use of the law? You don't know how to repent. I'll tell you. Even if you have money, I can't let you go, according to Article 26 of the Public Security Administration penalty. I want to detain you for 15 days. I want you to understand, don't be impulsive and disregard the consequences. Don't use your youth as a reason to act recklessly. There are gods 3 feet above you, there are laws 3 feet below you. You've received money, haven't you? You've received money from Pan Jiang's family, haven't you? You want to detain me for 15 days? You're the one who received money. Wu Tong gnashed her teeth. I can't communicate with you. With that, Wu Tong angrily got up, slammed the door and left. Oh, you still want to teach me a lesson? The corner of Qin Guang's mouth rose. From the beginning to the end, he didn't agree with this policewoman's point of view. People with different beliefs can't make plans together. I'm so angry. How could there be such a person? To think that I even wanted to help him get out of this. This person should be locked up forever, don't let him come out and harm people. Sitting in the office angrily, Wu Tong almost crushed the cup of water she was drinking. Something's wrong, I kept saying that I will do things according to the law. If he really wants to compensate Pan Jiang's medical expenses, I can't lock him up, right? I'm also so angry that I lost my head. If I really do that, wouldn't I be shooting myself in the foot? At this time her cell phone rang. When she picked it up, it was actually a call from the Wenxing branch bureau chief. Strange, why would that lazy old man call me in the middle of the night? Shouldn't he be watching TV at home? Hello? Is this Xiao? Right, I heard you arrested a student? Bureau Chief Ding, you're not going to plead for that kid, are you? Nothing to say. Impossible. I won't let him go today. Wu Tong gritted her teeth and said. She was stubborn like this, not giving face to anyone. At the same time, her impression of Qin Guang dropped by 3 points. She thought that he must be some second-generation official. Unexpectedly, he quickly found Bureau Chief Ding to use his relationship. Xiao, you're right. This kind of violent person should be dealt with harshly. By the way, prepare all the documents and submit them to the prosecutor's office tomorrow. We'll also start a prosecution against him and let him reflect on himself in prison. Who would have thought that Bureau Chief Ding would say something like that? Bureau Chief Ding? Public prosecution? Prison? Isn't this a bit too much? Wu Tong was shocked. Bureau Chief Ding's attitude was the complete opposite of what she thought. He was going to torture that annoying kid to death. Yeah. Bureau Chief Ding was also puzzled. Didn't you want to strangle him just a second ago? Why is it different now? Although Wu Tong was hot-tempered, she wasn't stupid. She immediately understood that something was wrong. Recalling what Pan Jiang's father said before she left the hospital, she vaguely guessed something. Bureau Chief Ding, is it Pan Jiang's family? Chapter 54. Sigh. What nonsense are you spouting? In short, don't ask too many questions. I'll get Captain Chen to take over the case later. Go home and rest, okay? Chief Ding was a shrewd man. Seeing that Wu Tong wanted to get to the bottom of the matter, he immediately decided to get his confidant to handle the matter. No. This case is mine. I won't give it to anyone. Wu Tong exploded. She couldn't tolerate a single grain of sand in her eyes. Qin Guang did hit someone, but it wasn't to the extent of sending him to jail. He was still a student. Is it me or you who has the final say? Wu Tong. Chief Ding was displeased with Wu Tong's rebuttal. Have I been too lenient with you? You've only been working for 2 to 3 months, so you're a little rash. I understand that, but you have to learn and think more. Do you understand? You can't be willful in your work. You have to listen to the leader's arrangements. I don't understand. I don't understand either. Wu Tong hung up the phone angrily. Looking for connections, right? Pressuring me, right? I won't accept this. Connections? I'll fight it out with you. If it wasn't for today's incident, I would have thought that I only needed to be myself to uphold justice. Now it seems that I have to go with the flow? I won't. She picked up the phone and found a number. After hesitating for a moment, she finally decided to call. She yelled at the person on the phone. She didn't look like she was asking for help at all. Instead, she was throwing a tantrum at the person on the phone. After hanging up, she waited for 15 minutes before Chief Ding called again. This time, his attitude was completely different from before. Little Wu, although work is important, don't tire yourself out. You've handled this case well. Just do it your way. I approve of whatever you want to do. I won't talk any further. My child at home has a problem. I'll go take a look. Chief Ding said a few words and quickly hung up. He was still in a daze. He looked at the call history on his phone with an odd expression. Then he slapped his forehead and muttered to himself, Wu Tong Wu Shan. Am I an idiot? Why didn't I think of that earlier? That scared me. Xiao Wu is really something. If it weren't for today's matter, I don't know how long she would hide it. Thank the heavens it's not too late to find out. My goodness, if I had told you earlier that your father was Wu Shan, I wouldn't have dared to say such harsh words to you. On the other side, after Wu Tong left, Qin Guang waited for a while and slowly recovered from his uncomfortable state. When he calmed down and figured out some key points, his expression became rather strange. To be honest, he felt a little regretful. It was said that commoners shouldn't fight with officials. Now that he was a prisoner, it seemed that he really shouldn't be so unyielding with the policewoman. If he really offended her, he would be detained for a full 15 days. What would he do then? On the one hand, it might affect his studies, and on the other hand, he was most afraid that the Holy Grail would be taken away. God knows what kind of trouble would happen if the Holy Grail was not by his side. It's all that policewoman's fault. If you weren't so irritable, how could I fight with you? Why is my mouth so cheap? I can't control my own master's temper. Well, now that she's gone, it seems like regret is useless. The fluorescent lights in the detention room made a sizzling sound. The lights flickered from time to time. For a moment, Qin Guang felt very cold and lonely. On this side, Wu Tong didn't hesitate to use his own connections to deal with Bureau Chief Ding. On second thought, why did he help that annoying brat to do this? He definitely wouldn't appreciate it. But I can't tell him that just now, someone used his connections to send you to jail, and I used my connections to help you block it. You have to accept my favor and treat me better. Once he said this, his heroic words of doing everything according to the law would be shattered. He would definitely be despised and ridiculed by that sharp-tongued guy. Wu Tong's heart was filled with unwillingness. It was as if a crazy cat was scratching at her. No, he won't accept it even if I help him. I can't just let him go like this. Even if I treat you well, even if I don't send you to jail, I still have to let you reflect on yourself in the detention room for 15 days. This can be considered a compromise. That's right. I'll do it like this. Why are you here again? Qin Guang looked at Wu Tong, who pushed open the door and put on a cold face. The next moment he wanted to slap himself. He forced an ugly smile on his face. I didn't mean it that way. Sister Wu Tong, why are you running around so late at night? It's not good for a girl's skin to sleep late. You're so pretty, you should take good care of your skin. Qin Guang was completely convinced by himself. How could I say something so mushy? Wu Tong's mouth was wide open. She looked at Qin Guang as if she had seen a ghost. After a while, she said, if it wasn't for that disgusting expression on your face, I would have thought you were replaced by a leopard cat. Did you take the wrong medicine? You're the one who took the wrong medicine. Your whole family took the wrong medicine. Qin Guang felt sorry for his terrible acting skills. He also expressed his disdain for this woman's ability to spit out dirty words. Fine, it's much more pleasing to my ears when you say that. You can scold me and I'll feel more at ease. I'm here to inform you of your punishment. Just like I said before, according to Article 26 of the Public Security Administration Punishment Act, you'll be detained for 15 days and fined 1,000 yuan. Also, the hospital's estimated treatment bill is out. It's 10,000 yuan. Add it all up and you'll have to pay 11,000 yuan. Then, go to the detention center and reflect on your life. Wu Tong sat down. 15 days for real? It can't be that serious, right? This time, it was Qin Guang's turn to be dumbfounded. After all, he was only a student. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't flustered. Being detained for 15 days and fined 11,000 yuan, he felt the pinch. Of course, if he was given another chance to choose, he still wouldn't be soft-hearted to Pan Jiang. Money was one thing and principles were another. Now you're scared? Originally, it wasn't that serious, but considering that your attitude towards pleading guilty was extremely terrible and that the circumstances of your assault were generally serious, I'll compromise for you and only lock you up for 15 days. Wu Tong saw that this brat was terrified and her heart felt good. Even the way she spoke became more amiable. No, my attitude was good. Sis, don't be like this. Let's talk this out. Qin Guang was really scared. Now you know that you're wrong? It's too late. You won't give up until you see the Yellow River, and you won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. Don't look so sad. I'm doing this for your own good. I want you to remember not to be so impulsive in the future. Don't be afraid. The detention center isn't as amazing as the rumors say. Maybe you'll thank me after many years. I gave you a head-on blow when you're most likely to go astray. Who knows, you might be enlightened after you come out. Wu Tong said with a smile. Enlightened? It should be the 3 flowers at one's prominence. It's the penetration of a chrysanthemum multiplied by 3. I don't want to be detained. Qin Guang held his head with both hands, feeling remorseful and hateful. No, I need to drink some water to calm down. He picked up the cup, intending to take a sip of the cold and tasteless tea. Little brat. You're in trouble, right? Why don't you ask me to help you? What he was afraid of really happened. At this critical moment, Emperor of the Azure appeared again. Chapter 55. What are you doing? Why did you come out? Qin Guang roared in his heart. As he was too nervous, he didn't even notice that Emperor of the Azure's situation was different from usual. She didn't pull him into the world in the cup, but her voice was ringing in his heart. Emperor of the Azure knew exactly what was going on in Qin Guang's mind. She laughed weirdly and said, Guess. Her tone was very wrong, as if she was a bad girl delinquent. Guess your sister. Don't mess around. This isn't the time, it really isn't the time. Don't give me a test of the world in the cup now. I won't accept it. Qin Guang clenched his fists tightly. His face turned pale and his body trembled slightly. Wu Tong, who was sitting in front of him, was shocked by his expression. What are you doing? Are you having a seizure? Don't play tricks on me. Although I haven't been working for long, I have a good eye for people. Don't think that you can get away with 15 days of detention by pretending to be sick. Believe it or not, I'll give you another 5 days. Qin Guang was fighting with Emperor of the Azure in his heart. At the same time, he had to deal with Wu Tong. It was very tiring. He stuttered, Officer Wu, I didn't pretend to be sick. I just felt a little cold all of a sudden. That's right, a little cold. Really, don't detain me, okay? I promise to be a good person in the future and not be so impulsive. I was being a good Samaritan. Isn't that what society advocates now? Do you want me to become a cold-blooded person who doesn't even care when an old person falls? Hearing this, Wu Tong calmed down a little and her complacency returned. All right. I said it's detention, but it won't be too hard on you. At most, I'll allow you to use the computer in the detention center. Just treat it as finding a place to rest quietly for a few days. Don't you college students like to skip classes? I'm helping you find a legitimate reason to skip classes. If your school asks about it, I'll help you explain and absolve you. You won't get the award for being a good Samaritan, but you won't be punished by the school. My treatment is already very good, so don't waste my time. If you're a man, you should be more straightforward. If you've done something wrong, you have to admit it. A man should take responsibility for what he's done, right? This policewoman was so stubborn that Qin Guang felt a headache coming on, but there was nothing he could do. He could only try to communicate with the Emperor of the Azure in his mind. My dear Empress, don't joke with me. This is really not the right time. While talking to Emperor of the Azure, Qin Guang quickly went through what he was thinking in his mind just now. Trying to convince Wu Tong? That's not bad. At least let me become a better lobbyist, right? Winning a debate competition or becoming a negotiation expert was not a bad idea either. He could more or less earn some money. Am I worried about being detained? He was going to become a Hell King. No. Another one. What else am I thinking? Something was wrong. What I was most worried about just now was that I would become a 3-flower at one's prominence after entering the detention center. A chrysanthemum multiplied by 3? Holy shit. Swish, 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 swish. 10,000 alpacas whizzed past Qin Guang's heart, trampling on his wounded soul into pieces. Not good. Oh no. Things were getting serious. If I really did that, wouldn't I have to become King Billy? This was too terrifying. Shaking his head fiercely, Qin Guang hurriedly threw out this terrible idea of destroying his worldview, but it was already too late. It was discovered by the rogue god emperor. Not the right time? Eee. But this matter is not up to you, nor is it up to me. Didn't you say that I was unreasonable with the Holy Grail? Now that I'm out, it's time for you to take the test. Right now, the colored glass deity emperor was basically a roundworm in Qin Guang's stomach. She knew what Qin Guang was thinking in his heart, and she would say whatever he was afraid of. Let me see, what were you thinking just now? The Holy Grail has been found. Little brat, there's a big surprise. Emperor of the Azure deliberately dragged out the word big. It was really meaningful. Qin Guang leaned against the chair weakly. His hemorrhoids seemed to be acting up again, and his chrysanthemum was faintly itching. His eyes were dull and he shook his head powerlessly. 2 streams of turbid tears flowed down. No. This sentence was not only said in his heart but also said out loud. Wu Tong shrank back. Hey. You're a man, isn't it just attention? Was there a need to put on such an expression as if his heart was extinguished? Why are you crying? Qin Guang waved his hand fiercely. You win. You don't understand. You don't understand the pain in my heart, you don't understand my injury. I don't want to see you. After saying that, he slumped his head on the back of the chair and pretended to be dead. He was not in the mood to talk to Wu Tong anymore. He must think of a way to convince Emperor of the Azure. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Ah. Look at how scared you are, I'm dying of laughter. Hey, you're the chosen savior of the Holy Grail. Can you at least show some courage? I'm just joking with you. Actually, the energy of the Holy Grail hasn't fully recovered yet. I really didn't expect to scare you to this extent. You're such a coward and you're making me, the emperor of a generation, very embarrassed. If the countless godly monarchs, godly venerables, godly kings, godly generals, godly soldiers, and ordinary gods in the endless divine realm knew that Emperor of the Azure, who is ranked top 10 among the tens of thousands of emperor gods in the endless divine realm, had found such a weak savior, these inferior gods would at least laugh themselves to death. Where am I supposed to put my face? Emperor of the Azure's loud laughter suddenly rang in Qin Guang's heart. At the same time, the woman's image gradually appeared in Qin Guang's mind, from a blur to a clear image. Qin Guang did not deliberately recall her appearance. It was obvious that she had entered Qin Guang's mind. At that moment, Emperor of the Azure was still wearing the same ancient dress as before. However, it looked a little strange. Her ancient dress was different from before. It was slightly transparent. It was obvious that the divine power that Qin Guang had consumed during the Dota test had not been fully recovered. However, this woman seemed to have learned her lesson. She deliberately distributed her divine power unevenly and covered all the key parts. Qin Guang could only see the naughty little belly button on her waist at most. Suddenly realizing that he had been fooled, Qin Guang flew into a rage out of humiliation. Are you done? Is it fun to tease me? Can you be a little more serious? You're a god emperor after all. How can I trust you when you're not serious at all? How can I follow you to do great things with peace of mind? If I fail the test of the heavenly Holy Grail, everyone will be finished. This is definitely because of your poor guidance and improper attitude. Ever since he came into contact with Emperor of the Azure, Qin Guang was extremely disappointed in her. This was completely different from the old grandpas or god emperors that he had read about in the online novels in the past. The god emperors in the stories were all heroes who looked down on the world. Every move they made could affect the laws of origin. When they spoke, their words were laws. With a wave of their hands, they could create or shatter the void of the infinite world, causing the birth and destruction of countless universes. That was what she said too. She boasted about the power of her father, the master god of chaos, to the point that it almost broke through Qin Guang's imagination. Qin Guang himself had also felt a little of the majestic pressure of the endless divine realm from the divine power that she inadvertently revealed. But why was it that now, no matter how he looked at it, this Emperor of the Azure was simply a joke? How am I supposed to happily show off and fly together with you? Upon hearing this, the Emperor of the Azure in his mind suddenly stopped smiling and stood up straight. She smiled devilishly. Is that so? You want to see what I really look like? Alright, I'll let you see what a truly powerful god emperor looks like. You'd better be mentally prepared. As Emperor of the Azure said this, a strange smile appeared on her face. For a moment, Qin Guang's hair stood on end. He subconsciously felt an extreme sense of danger. By the time he wanted to change his mind, it was already too late. Chapter 56. The next moment, the image of the Emperor of the Azure in his mind had completely changed. This was a complete change, leaving no trace of the previous one. A second ago, she was still a hopelessly funny non-mainstream girl in ancient clothes. The next second, she had become a terrifying woman who was thousands of times more domineering than the martial Emperor Wuxia on TV. Her appearance and clothes had not changed at all, but she had really become a completely different person. A terrible momentum rose from her body, as if it was going to break through the endurance of Chen Guang's mind. She was still only 1.7 meters tall, but in Chen Guang's mind, it was as if he was facing a giant whose top could not be seen. She just glanced at Chen Guang indifferently and Chen Guang's mind suddenly froze. This was not a simple stagnation. It was like a cup of boiling water was suddenly thrown into a space of absolute zero, completely stagnating and freezing. In ancient times, when the inferior saw the superior, they would involuntarily have the idea of kneeling down because of the other party's power and prestige. But at this time, Chen Guang did not have this feeling because he could not think at all. Not only that, but perhaps he only held on for a 10,000th of a second. His mind was like an ice sculpture that had been hit hard, and it was about to crack. All the images and things in Chen Guang's mind gradually cracked as his mind was gradually broken, and cracks like the broken space appeared. How is it? Does this Emperor's original appearance still enter your eyes? Finally, the Emperor of the Azure spoke. Words flew out of her mouth one by one, and turned into huge runes that could support the sky and the earth, which stabilized Chen Guang's sea of consciousness that was about to break. While she was speaking, she kept deliberately restraining her momentum that belonged to the Divine Emperor. In his mind, Chen Guang's body trembled, and he finally recovered his mind. However, what he saw and experienced at that moment was deeply embedded in his memory like a knife carving on his heart. It was so deep and indelible. His mind spun fiercely and his thoughts slowly thawed. After a long while, he finally understood the meaning of glazed deity Emperor's simple question. After holding it in for a long time, a sentence finally popped out of his mouth. It's simply amazing. That's right. The smile on the Emperor of the Azure's face was like 100 flowers blooming between heaven and earth, just like the spring breeze caressing one's face and the warm winter sun. It was a completely subconscious action that made Chen Guang close his eyes in enjoyment. In her true state, the smile of the Emperor of the Azure could make countless existences below the ultimate god level who were lucky enough to see her smile comprehend the power of laws. When she was angry, she could change the color of heaven and earth in the endless divine realm, lose control of laws, and annihilate tens of thousands of gods. As a mere mortal, Chen Guang only squinted his eyes after being charmed by her smile. It was already the result of the Emperor of the Azure deliberately restraining herself and controlling her aura pressure to a level that Chen Guang could bear. Bang! Hearing those words, Chen Guang felt a knock on his forehead. How is it, little brat? You still say that I don't look like a divine emperor? You still say that I'm not serious? You know nothing. I'm taking care of a poor mortal like you. I'm forcing myself to control my state of mind to the most lively and cheerful level of a young girl in this world. Otherwise, I'll accidentally glare at you and you'll die. Who can I reason with then? Look, I'm so considerate and I have such a good attitude. That's right, don't be fooled by my terrifying appearance just now. In fact, I didn't even use a bit of my divine power. I only brought out my aura and displayed the divine might of my true form. That's all. As for my current divine power, I'm not sure how many % of my true state it is. If I were to count all the digits after the decimal point, I'm afraid I'd need a whole day to count. After the Emperor of the Azure knocked on Chen Guang's forehead, she put her hands behind her back and said proudly. Chen Guang was speechless and secretly cursed. What do you mean by wronging yourself? I think you're enjoying it. But then again, it was better this way. If it turned into what it was just now, he would not be able to do anything the next time he entered the cup realm. He would just lie on the ground and pretend to be dead from the beginning to the end. At this moment, he had no idea that he almost died just now. Although it was thrilling and exciting, after such a mess, Chen Guang's understanding of the Emperor of the Azure had indeed deepened and changed a lot. His attitude was slightly better than before. All right. Thank you for your understanding, Your Majesty. My realm is low, my level is low, and my level is low. Speaking of which, since the heavenly Holy Grail hasn't been fully restored, why are you in the mood to come out today? Chen Guang decided to change the topic. The Emperor of the Azure rolled her eyes. Isn't it because you were scared to death of being detained just now? I thought the sky was falling down and I hurried out to check on the situation. By the way, don't call me Your Majesty, it sounds too vulgar. This empress shall bestow upon you a privilege that countless gods in the entire endless divine realm dream of. Little brat, you can directly call me by my name, just call me Azure. Hello, Azure will do. Azure, it's fine as long as you don't have it. Don't act cute. I don't fall for it. After another knock on the head, Qin Guang became well behaved. Azure, is this okay? As he spoke, he also despised this woman in his heart. You call me your majesty, then 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 you call me your majesty. You should at least give me a standard for how you refer to yourself. It's tiring to communicate with you like this. Fortunately, she didn't call me your majesty. Your majesty is really disappointed in you. Us gods go into seclusion for billions of years. You've only been detained for 15 days. Oh my god, only 15 days. What are you afraid of? Qin Guang, what will come sooner or later. Don't look at me like that. I know what you're thinking. I'm teasing you on purpose. You're so boring. Also, ever since I got to know you, why do I feel that the number of billions has become like cabbages? We mortals only use the number of billions to describe the number of little tadpoles every day. Also, the gods going into seclusion and me are two different things, alright? How long can a mortal's lifetime be? How many 15 days can I have? Besides, isn't it because you and the heavenly Holy Grail appeared without any warning? You tricked me the last time. I'm just afraid that the next time you guys come, you're going to train my ability to stay in prison. Also, I still have things to do outside. I'm extremely busy. How can I stay in the detention center for 15 days? This matter is as serious as the sky falling down, alright? Luli, put yourself in my shoes and think for me. Although Azure's words weren't pleasant to the ears, Qin Guang could hear a hint of hope in them. She definitely had a way. That's right, the Divine Emperor. Such a heaven-defying Divine Emperor. Wouldn't a small matter like not being detained be a piece of cake? You really don't want to be locked up? You definitely want to go out? Is it that important? Azure started to get serious. Qin Guang nodded. Heavier than Mount Tai. Heavier than what I want. Chapter 57. Alright. I'll help you this time. How annoying. I haven't even finished exploring your Earth. I originally planned to accumulate some divine power to surf the internet, but now my plan has to be delayed again. Alright, if a QQ account called Lioli adds you as a friend, remember not to reject it. It's me. Open your eyes and look at the pretty policewoman in front of you. I'm going to get to work. Lioli took a deep breath and disappeared from the bottom of Qin Guang's heart in a flash. Little brat, watch carefully. I'm going to use my power. Emperor of the Azure's voice sounded in Qin Guang's heart. Qin Guang was looking forward to it. Let me see what the Emperor of the Azure is capable of. What is she going to do? Is she going to wipe out this branch office? Don't scare me. Qin Guang opened his eyes in horror and saw Wu Tong's big and beautiful eyes. Wu Tong was a little worried because he pretended to be dead. In her eyes, Qin Guang was still the little flower that symbolized the future of the motherland. If this young man's will was so bad that he broke down because of being detained for 15 days, she would owe him a lot. So she quickly moved closer to see what was going on. If Qin Guang still didn't open his eyes, she would pull his eyelids open. At this time, Wu Tong's big eyes were less than 5 centimeters away from Qin Guang's pupils. Twinkle, 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 as bright as the stars. Her eyes were really beautiful. This sentence popped up in Qin Guang's mind. In the next instant, Wu Tong blinked. Qin Guang's heart skipped a beat. Something was wrong. Why did her eyes change in the blink of an eye? What was this? The way Wu Tong looked at him made Qin Guang recall the most mushy Korean drama he had ever seen. The way the female lead looked at the male lead who was about to ascend to heaven. That affectionate gaze, those tear-filled eyes, those eyeballs that seemed to want to suck him in. Damn it. Impossible. Kid, don't worry. When this grandaunt makes a move, she never misses. Now this little policewoman has fallen deeply in love with you. At this time, even if you asked her to die for you, she wouldn't even blink. Just wait and see, she's going to start crying and apologizing to you, saying that she shouldn't have tried to detain you, and of course you won't be detained. This empress is a little tired, so I'll go back and rest first. You handle the rest yourself. Lioli's naughty voice came and quickly disappeared. Hey, you can't play like this. Today is the first time I met this policewoman and you already gave me this. I can't take it. If you're like this, how am I supposed to enjoy the pleasure of picking up girls? You want others to fall in love with me so easily? You should at least give me some mental preparation. What's the principle behind this move? Explain it to me clearly. Wait a minute. That's not what I want. Indeed, Wu Tong had fallen deeply in love with the man in front of her. There was no reason at all. Love does not need a reason. In her past life they had brushed past each other thousands of times, but in this life, they were on the same boat together, waiting for their reunion in the next life. It was said that love at first sight was the most romantic, but Wu Tong felt that her current love was thousands of times more profound than love at first sight. Even if this man didn't say a word, just by looking at his face and smelling the unwarranted scent coming from his body, she could still be ecstatic and fall in love with him to the point of life and death. Heavens! What did I just do? I actually tried to put the person I love the most into detention. How could I do that? How could I think like that? For him, even if I have to go through water and tread on fire, even if I have to pierce through the sky and crush the earth, I'm willing. My light. How could I hurt you like that? I'm sorry. My heart, it hurts so much. It's like being cut by 1,000 knives. I'm so uncomfortable. I'm so guilty. I'm in so much pain that I can't breathe. As Wu Tong spoke, her hand suddenly reached out to hold Qin face. Her breath smelled like orchids, and the lotus fragrance from her mouth blew on Qin face and into Qin nose. Her body moved closer and closer, wishing that she could ram her head into Qin body. As she spoke, her voice became choked with sobs. It was so sad, so self-reproachful, and she wished that she could commit suicide to apologize to the heavens. You should be more normal. Even Korean dramas aren't as mushy as you. Qin desperately leaned back to avoid Wu Tong's face. Finally, the chair lost its balance. Qin fell on his back, his body hitting the ground, and Wu Tong pressed on top of him. It's over. I'm going to be raped. Help. This plot isn't going right. My light. How could I let you fall? I've hurt you over and over again. I can't repay what I owe you in this lifetime. Wu Tong continued to press on top of Qin, but this time she frantically pulled Qin head, as if this fall would seriously injure Qin. As she spoke, she hammered her chest. She was in so much pain that her heart was about to break. You just wanted to detain me, not send me to the crematorium. What kind of damage is that? I'm just lying on the ground, not pushing you off a cliff. Don't make such a trivial matter into something as serious as the end of the world. At this moment, Qin finally understood what Lioli meant when she said that she was about to cry and apologize to him. I'm a little drunk. Facing this situation, what should the old man do? Seeing that he didn't move, Wu Tong felt even more guilty. She actually raised her hand, wanting to slap herself. I'm a despicable woman. Are you done? Qin grabbed her hand. If you're done, then save it for me. I just don't want to be detained. I don't think it's worth it to be detained for hurting Pan Jiang. Why don't you just let me go? Can you not cause so much trouble? If you're a little more normal, we can still be friends. Wu Tong smiled through her tears. Really? Can you really forgive me? As long as I can be friends with you, I'm satisfied. I don't dare to ask for more. Even if I can just hide in the crowd and stare at you from afar, that's my greatest happiness. Let you go, I'll let you go right now. Even if the sky falls, I'm willing to help you carry it. My head hurts so much. Qin felt like his liver was about to explode. At least Wu Tong finally got up. There was no suspense about what happened next. Wu Tong only used 5 minutes to withdraw the detention decision that she had originally submitted. It was obvious that she had lied to Qin. However, Qin couldn't relax at all. Officer Wu was standing at the side, looking at him with a frightening gaze. Why do I feel that if this situation continues, I'll be in a worse state than being locked up for 15 days? If I knew things would turn out like this, I might as well go to jail for 15 days. Who the hell wants a lunatic to pester me like this? Chapter 58. Dear Guang, your procedure is done. Let's go home together now, okay? Qin was sitting in the detention room anxiously worrying. Wu Tong mischievously poked her head out from the door and said with a smile. She looked like a little girl in love. She hopped in front of Qin and reached out to hold Qin's hand. Qin dodged to the side. Go home together? Don't joke around, okay? I just want to go back to school. Today is the first time I saw you. But I'm sincere to you. I'm willing to give up everything for you, even if it's my life. Wu Tong pounced on him and held Qin's hand from the side. She put her face on his chest. This time he was suddenly attacked by this woman. His arm was suddenly clamped by her plump breasts. Qin's muscles suddenly stiffened. Admittedly, Qin had always taken advantage of Wenwen's body from time to time in the past few years. But he and Won were so familiar with each other that they couldn't even enter the same toilet. He was already used to the avoidance between the two men and women. But today he suddenly changed into a beautiful policewoman that he had only known for less than half a day. This feeling was completely different. Wu Tong's plump breasts were more upright than Wenwen's. When these two breasts surrounded Qin Guang's arm from both sides, they were almost completely buried. The amazing elasticity hit him. Qin Guang's whole body was like being electrocuted. He was covered with goosebumps. I'm going to die, I'm going to die. I obviously hate her and want to roar at her. But I look like I'm enjoying it. What's going on? That's right. Even if there was no mirror in front of him, Qin Guang knew that the expression on his face right now was most likely a result of being enchanted. Thinking about it is really shameful. Can't I be more resolute? Qin Guang asked himself, and then he found an answer that made him very embarrassed. Oh. Speaking from the bottom of his heart, Wu Tong's voluptuous figure was really great. It was like a poppy shell, instantly addictive. Don't be like this. I'm a decent person. In the end, reason won over the little devil in the depths of his heart. Qin Guang used up almost a year's worth of courage to clench his teeth and successfully free his hand from Wu Tong's trap. Then, with a firm and slow force, he slowly pushed her to the side. If things were really that simple, then from now on, this beautiful policewoman named Wu Tong would be dead set on him. With an old bachelor like Qin Guang's willpower that was almost equal to zero, it would be impossible for him to resist such a temptation. Even though he knew that this woman had no true feelings for him and had only fallen for Lu Li's plot, he would still choose to take advantage of her. However, since the person in charge of this matter was Lu Li, Qin Guang always had an inexplicable sense of vigilance in his heart. With that woman's way of doing things, it was impossible for her to be so reliable. There must be a trap waiting for him ahead. Therefore, even though he knew that at this moment, as long as he was slightly tempted, he could just give Wu Tong a look and end his 20 years of that life tonight. Even though this thought in his heart was about to shake the heavens, he still resolutely chose to push Wu Tong away. To put it bluntly, he really didn't dare. He had already experienced this policewoman's fiery temper before. It wasn't easy for him to get away, so he really didn't want to complicate things. Qin Guang thought to himself, how about this, if she's still in this state tomorrow and still comes to find me, I'll just push the boat with the current and eat this big white meat. Today it's better to go back to school first. On the other side, after Wu Tong pushed Qin Guang away, a tearful expression hung on her face. Qin Guang hurriedly leaned over, put his hands on her shoulders, looked straight into her eyes and slowly and affectionately said, if you really love me that much, don't make it difficult for me. Your love came too suddenly, too fiercely. I admit that I was caught unprepared. At this time, my heart wants to spend the rest of my life with you, but because of the boundless road ahead, I feel uneasy. I'm still a student and I don't know what fate awaits the two of us in the future. Maybe it's a white hole or maybe it's a white tomorrow waiting for us. Please allow me to slowly calm down my boiling heart, let me think about it and quietly sort out my own thoughts. I can swear to the heavens that I will never disappoint your love, but now, can you let me leave for a while? Qin Guang felt that his stomach was a little uncomfortable, and he was about to vomit. He tried to make his expression look very sincere, but his acting skills were in the negatives. Basically, a normal person wouldn't be deceived. Fortunately, the current Wu Tong was not normal. After listening to his words, Wu Tong's pair of beautiful eyes looked at him, with a deep affection that could melt glaciers. She nodded heavily, dear light, I'll listen to you, I'll wait for you. Well, let me leave for a while. A short separation for the joy of reunion. I'm leaving. Qin Guang opened the door of the detention room and stepped out. Wu Tong followed closely behind him, and she walked step by step like a young wife that had just gotten married. Qin Guang walked faster and faster. He just wanted to leave this terrible place as soon as possible. When the two of them went out, Wang Long, who rushed over from the lounge to see the situation, was suddenly dumbfounded. Just now, Wu Tong suddenly decided to release Qin Guang, which Wang Long learned from the other on-duty colleagues. He thought that this violent policewoman was thoroughly provoked, and intended to quietly release him and then beat him up outside. A similar thing had happened once last month. At that time, the guy who molested the girl was beaten until he cried for his parents, and the bandages on his body were still unremoved. After that incident, the steady Wang Long was sent by Bureau Chief Ding to Wu Tong's side, saying that he was to guide the new, but in fact, it was to prevent her from doing similar things again. What was the result? Wang Long rushed over before he even wore his clothes properly. He saw Wu Tong looking at Qin Guang's silhouette with deep emotions in her eyes. That was not all, but Wu Tong seemed to be unable to bear this short separation. There was a saying that the greatest longing in this world was looking at you face to face, but still thinking of you in my heart. For the current Wu Tong, the distance between her and Qin Guang had reached half a meter, as if they were separated by thousands of miles. She fiercely pounced from behind, hugging Qin Guang's back. Don't leave me. I can't leave you for even a second," Wu Tong said with a sobbing tone. How could Qin Guang dare to stay? Even if the touch from his back made him feel so good that he was about to explode, his pace was still as firm as a mountain. With Wu Tong on his back, he moved step by step to the hall, saying, "Don't be like this, your colleagues are watching. You know I'm studying at Gokyo University. You can come to me later." At this moment, not only Wang Long, but also the other 2 police officers on duty in the station were completely dumbfounded. The violent policewoman became a beautiful woman? And the guy was the college student who was just arrested today? Did my eyes deceive me, or did I take the wrong medicine? How could I see such a scene? However, the officers weren't the ones who suffered the greatest shock, but Sun Xiaoxuan, who had just woken up. When he heard Qin Guang's voice, he hurriedly got up from the bench and walked over in a swaying manner. Sun Xiaoxuan, who was standing at the corner of the wall, was stunned when he saw this. Chapter 59. She had imagined the scene of Qin Guang being released many times. She was even worried that Qin Guang would be mistreated in the interrogation room, and at this time he would be riddled with scars. Therefore she was determined to stay here and refused to leave. She was afraid that Qin Guang would be at a disadvantage. But never in her dreams did she expect that when Qin Guang came out, the beautiful policewoman that made her somewhat jealous would be hanging on Qin Guang's body. That's right, this was hanging, the same posture as a monkey climbing a tree. That policewoman seemed to put all her heart on Qin Guang's body. Her eyes simply couldn't see anyone else. She just stared at Qin Guang's ear, like looking at her husband's stone. Sun Xiaoxuan was dumbfounded. Although he also had a deep affection for Qin Guang, he never thought that his charm would be so great. The 2 of them had only met today. What was the meaning of your expression and actions, as if the seas would dry up and the rocks would crumble? At this time, Sun Xiaoxuan was like a child whose favorite toy was snatched away. The anger in his heart was difficult to calm down. All of a sudden, the soreness and powerlessness in his body disappeared. He quickly walked forward and looked at the 2 people, Qin Guang and Wu Tong. At this time she found that something was wrong. The expression on Qin Guang's face didn't have the slightest bit of enjoyment, nor was he happy. Instead, he had a bitter smile on his face. Seeing Sun Xiaoxuan coming over, Qin Guang gave her a helpless expression and shrugged his shoulders with difficulty. "Police Officer Wu, please let go. My neck is about to be broken by you. I can't breathe." "What? My light? Actually, don't be like this. If you do this again, I'm really going to fall out with you." Qin Guang quickly righteously stopped her from continuing to say corny lines. There was no one else in the detention room, so he could use the same corny lines to shock this evildoer. But now that they were outside, with Sun Xiaoxuan and another girl in the class in front of him, Qin Guang really couldn't put down his face to act in a Korean drama. "All right." Wu Tong finally let go of him reluctantly. Qin Guang took the lead and walked towards the entrance of the branch office. He turned around and scolded Sun Xiaoxuan. "Look at you, you can't even stand straight and you're still waiting for me here? Do you want to die? Hurry up and follow me back to school." He was a little hesitant. He wanted to help Sun Xiaoxuan out, but he was afraid that the Wu family's gunpowder tong behind him would explode. Only God knew if that woman's jealousy was at the epic or legendary stage. In the end, he didn't dare make a move. "What? My sincerity towards you can be witnessed by heaven and earth. Even if I'm not your only woman, I'm willing." Wu Tong actually guessed his thoughts. Oh. Qin Guang almost spat out a mouthful of blood. "Can you not say such things in public? Look at my classmates, then look at your colleagues. They are almost paralyzed by you. No matter what. I'm going back to school. Officer Wu, don't follow me. Go about your own business. I already told you not to follow me. If you do this again, I swear I'll never talk to you again." Qin Guang's last heartless words finally stunned Wu Tong. She held on to the door of the branch office and watched Qin Guang and the others leave with tearful eyes. The 3 of them had just walked about 10 meters away from the branch office when Lu Li's voice suddenly rang in Qin Guang's heart. She sounded very tired. "Little brat, I don't have much time. I forgot to tell you something. The spell I used to change her mind can only last for half an hour." "What? Half an hour? At least 20 minutes have passed. You're only telling me now that it can only last for half an hour. Can't you be a little more reasonable? Can't you think of some other way? Can you not make things so difficult for me? Qin Guang finally found an opportunity and roared hysterically in his heart. But it was to no avail. Emperor of the Azure was long gone. It was obvious that adding this sentence was already her best effort. But it was to no avail. Emperor of the Azure was long gone. It was obvious that adding this sentence was the best she could do. Qin Guang felt a chill in his heart. He thought to himself, based on Officer Wu's temper, when she returns to normal and recalls what happened between me and her, she will definitely pull out her gun and shoot me full of holes, right? He pinched his fingers and calculated. Alright, there's no need to calculate anymore. I'll look at my watch. I only have 5 minutes left. He turned his head and looked at Wu Tong, who was lying on the door and waving at him lovingly. In Qin Guang's eyes, she was like a prehistoric beast that was about to break out of its shell. Qin Guang was completely certain that if he couldn't escape in time, he would die. He would definitely die a horrible death. Sun Xiaoxuan, who was at the side, saw that Qin Guang's expression wasn't right. He asked worriedly, "What's wrong?" Qin Guang glanced at her, then looked at the other girl and asked, "Can you run now? Can you run?" "What's wrong?" Sun Xiaoxuan and the girl were frightened by Qin Guang's pale face. Although Sun Xiaoxuan's best friend didn't know what Qin Guang meant, she nodded and said, "I can run, but Xiaoxuan's steps are still very weak. I'm afraid I can't." Qin Guang carried Sun Xiaoxuan on his back, held her 2 perky buttocks with both hands and rushed forward. "Gaoya, keep up, run." Sun Xiaoxuan let out a soft cry, but she quickly stopped talking with a blushing face. She even squinted her eyes happily and leaned her face on Qin Guang's back. Gaoya, Sun Xiaoxuan's best friend, secretly rolled her eyes when she saw this scene. "Xiaoxuan, are you stupid? This man and the policewoman were like that just now. Now that you're being carried by him, and he's suddenly putting on a sweet expression, you should be a little more reserved." While Gaoya was cursing in her heart, Qin Guang had already run at least 10 meters away with Sun Xiaoxuan on his back. She quickly chased after him. "Slow down. Wait for me." She didn't expect Qin Guang to run faster and faster. Not only did he not wait for her, but the distance between them continued to increase. After running for about 200 meters, they finally reached the side of the street. There was an empty taxi in front of them and Qin Guang quickly stopped it. He first put Sun Xiaoxuan in the back seat, and then planned to get in the car and ask the driver to hurry up. Sun Xiaoxuan still had some conscience and said anxiously, "Qin Guang, wait a minute. Gaoya is still behind us." Qin Guang had no choice but to go back. He grabbed Gaoya, who was already panting, and dragged her in the direction of the taxi. Let's go, let's go." As Gaoya was being dragged by Qin Guang, she muttered, "What are you doing? Are you crazy? Can't you walk slowly? What's wrong?" Sun Xiaoxuan, who was in the car, also stared at Qin Guang. Qin Guang's behavior was too abnormal. Qin Guang shook his head, pushed Gaoya to the back seat and sat in the front passenger seat. "There's no time to explain. Get in the car." "Oh my God." Just then, from the Wenxing branch office about 200 meters away, came a sharp scream. It was Wu Tong. Not only was this domineering policewoman domineering, but her soprano voice was also domineering. Even at a distance of more than 200 meters, her demonic voice still sounded so terrifying. "Oh my God. I'm awake. Run." Qin Guang took out a red note from his pocket and slapped it in front of the taxi driver. Go. Go. Stop hitting the meter, this money is all yours." Chapter 60. The driver looked at Qin Guang suspiciously. After all, the way he ran out of the police station in a panic was a little suspicious. However, Sun Xiaoxuan and Gaoya, who were sitting in the back seat, dispelled his suspicions. He carefully looked at Qin Guang and started the car. As soon as the taxi left, Wu Tong rushed out with a huge rubber baton in her hand. Her mouth was still roaring. Her face was ferocious and her hair was disheveled. Her aura was as terrifying as a ferocious tiger, and her hair was standing on end. Unfortunately, Qin Guang and the others had already left in the car, so she couldn't catch up. She stomped her feet and slammed the rubber baton on the railing of the flower terrace. Her eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. However, she wasn't as bad as Qin Guang had feared. At least she didn't take out her gun. Even if she couldn't catch up with anyone, she just used the baton to vent her anger on the public facilities nearby. The reason why she chased after Qin Guang with a pole was purely out of embarrassment, and she didn't really want to beat Qin Guang up. After venting for a while, she gradually calmed down and began to think about this strange thing. Was I bewitched or something? How could I be like that? There's no reason. Wu Tong clearly remembered everything that had happened in the past half an hour. Even now, when she thought back to it, she could still feel the unforgettable feeling of love that could last for eternity. She didn't understand why she fell so deeply in love with that man without any warning before it happened. Suddenly she fell in love with him. She was possessed and she lost her soul. What happened in the next half an hour made Wu Tong blush and her heart beat faster. She was extremely embarrassed. Ever since she was young, she had never fallen in love with a man. How could it be so intense this time? She couldn't even control her thoughts. Fortunately, that brat, Qin Guang, could be considered a gentleman. Otherwise, he had no idea how much of a loss he would have suffered today. If it was a beast without conscience, he would have already been devoured in the detention room. That's fine, but why did I suddenly lose that feeling? It wasn't completely gone. Now that she thought about it, her heart still raced. Could it be that Qin Guang knew hypnosis? That didn't make sense. As an excellent graduate of the police academy, Wu Tong was quite proficient in criminal psychology. Although she didn't know hypnosis, she could be considered half a psychologist. There was no reason for her to be hypnotized so easily. At that time, Qin Guang didn't do anything. Unless he could hypnotize her with his eyes, but that was impossible. Even the best hypnotist in the world couldn't hypnotize a well-trained police officer with his eyes. With infinite suspicion, Wu Tong returned to the police station in embarrassment. Wang Long and the others were hiding in the corner of the hall. When they saw her coming, they quickly turned their heads to the side, but the strange smile on their faces lingered. Whoever laughs again will come with me to practice kickboxing this weekend. Wu Tong snorted through her nose. Wang Long and the others immediately sat up straight and put on a stern face. What a joke. Wu Tong's reputation as the domineering policewoman of the Wuxia branch was not only because she was beautiful and had a fiery temper. More importantly, it was because she had amazing kickboxing skills as a woman. Even among all the branches in Wujing, she was definitely one of the best. Us bean sprouts, who would be willing to practice kickboxing with her for no reason. They would just be a punching bag. While the Wuxia branch was in a mess because of Wu Tong's matter, Qin Guang's situation was much better. Although Sun Xiaoxuan and Gaoye were suspicious of Qin Guang's unusual behavior, the two girls later heard the policewoman's terrifying scream and saw her chase after Qin Guang with a stick. Qin Guang, that police officer? Sun Xiaoxuan asked in the car. Qin Guang curled his lips helplessly. God knows what's wrong with her. Maybe she's mentally ill. I just felt that something was wrong with her, but she insisted on letting me go. I thought it would be better to come out earlier, so I dragged you guys away, afraid that she would change her mind. Oh. Qin Guang didn't explain in detail, but Sun Xiaoxuan completely believed him. Love could not only blind people, but Gaoye also thought that Sun Xiaoxuan was completely blind. After the three of them got out of the car, Qin Guang planned to send the two girls back to the girls' dorm. At the door of the dorm, Sun Xiaoxuan let Gaoye go upstairs first. She still had something to ask Qin Guang. Gaoye rolled her eyes, silently cursing Sun Xiaoxuan for valuing a girl over a friend, but she still went up first. The effect of the knockout powder had almost worn off. Sun Xiaoxuan had just slept, so she was much more energetic now. You know about Pan Zhang's injury, right? It's pretty serious. Sun Xiaoxuan was like a young wife who had done something wrong. As she spoke, she nervously rubbed her hands. Qin Guang, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have trusted him. If I hadn't gone to that meal, he wouldn't have had the chance and you wouldn't have. I'm the one who dragged you down. Qin Guang shook his head. That's not necessarily true. I've always known that Pan Jiang isn't a good person. Even if you didn't go this time and avoided it, what about next time? You can avoid it once, but you can't avoid it forever. He'll reveal his true colors sooner or later. I think it's better this way. The sooner you expose him, the less likely you'll be to fall for it again. What if you fall for it again when I'm not at school? That'll be terrible. Besides, you don't have to apologize. We're classmates and friends. When a friend is in trouble, it's only right for me to help. By the way, how did Officer Wu decide on the punishment? She didn't want to let you go before. Sun Xiaoxuan asked again. She couldn't feel at ease if she didn't figure it out. It's not a big deal. I'll probably just have to pay 1,000 yuan fine and pay for Pan Zhang's medical fees. Even then, it's probably just around 10,000 yuan. Qin Guang tried his best to look indifferent, but he was actually quite pained. He hadn't even warmed up the 50,000 yuan he earned from saving Jin Shirui and Jiang Yage a few days ago, and now it was all gone. Of course, the most annoying thing was that he just remembered that he had left the police station so quickly that he didn't have time to pay the fine. Who knew if Wu Tong, that terrifying policewoman, would use this as an excuse to cause trouble for him? Although he didn't have to worry about being detained, after all, his own people had already come out. The punishment decision couldn't be easily changed and he would be arrested again. He just didn't know how he should face the explosive policewoman. Should he continue acting in his crappy Korean drama, or should he beg her to let him go? He really couldn't face her face. It didn't matter how beautiful she was. That woman was definitely a white-bone demon in her previous life. 10,000 yuan. Sun Xiaoxuan, who was on the other side, was shocked by the amount, but he immediately said, "I'll find a way to get it. I'll call my dad later." "You don't have to. You didn't hit him, so why would I ask you to pay? I hit him, so I'll pay for it myself. What's the point of asking for your money?" Qin Guang immediately refused. "But aren't you short of money?" Sun Xiaoxuan still insisted. "It's not a matter of money, but a matter of principle as a man. A man must be responsible. Don't say anything, I'll pay for it myself." Okay, you go up, I'm going back to my dorm to rest," Qin Guang said and was about to leave. Sun Xiaoxuan had no choice but to stop insisting. Suddenly, he saw the cup in Qin Guang's hand and said, "Wait a minute, I'm a little thirsty, can I have a sip of water from your cup?" "Take it." Qin Guang didn't think too much, and directly handed the cup to Sun Xiaoxuan. "This is the cup he drinks from. If I drink from this cup and he drinks from me, is it considered an indirect kiss?" God knows that Sun Xiaoxuan was actually thinking about this at this time. After drinking the water, she clearly saw the decorative painting on the cup with the light from the street outside the girl's dorm. Her face suddenly turned red and she stuffed the cup into Qin Guang's arms. She said that she would see him tomorrow and then went upstairs. What's wrong with her? Qin Guang felt a little strange. Is there something wrong with the cup? He also looked at the decorative painting on the cup and then, puff. Luli, female pervert. You're deliberately tricking me. Aren't you a flying goddess in a long skirt? Why did you suddenly turn into a big-breasted girl in a bikini? How do you expect me to go out and greet people with this cup? What a scam. In order to control that pretty police officer's mind, I used too much of my divine power, and I can't maintain the lustrous feather dress anymore. I can't let you see it naked, and I'm already risking my life to maintain this bit of fabric. Don't worry about these details, okay? Do you think I want to do this? The colored glazed Xinhuang, the Xinhuang who appeared and disappeared mysteriously, actually appeared again. Why did I say again? Didn't she sound like she was about to collapse from exhaustion just now? Was this guy faking it? Chapter 61. Then you have to think of another reliable way. Why do you have to make her fall in love with me? Can't there be a second choice? Qin Guang expressed his disdain for Emperor of the Azure's irresponsible behavior. Liuli sneered, "Well, what do you know, little brat? Now that my divine power is greatly damaged, if I want to help you escape from prison, I really have no other way but this method. Since you can make her love me so much, can't you just control her thoughts a little and make her let me go?" Liuli spat again. "What do you know, I'm just trying to help you get rid of your worries. Do you know that the most difficult thing to understand and figure out in the world is the human heart? Now that my divine power is weak, if I want to get you out, I can't directly blow up this place, so I have to find a reasonable reason for you, so I can only make a move on that beautiful policewoman's mind. But you don't have to make her fall in love with me, do you? Not at all. There are two best ways to control a mortal's mind. One is thought control, which is roughly what you expect, which is equivalent to hypnosis in your world. The second is this emperor's unique method, emotional control. This method saves time and effort. As long as you make her fall in love with you, she will naturally be willing to do something that is beneficial to you under the permission of her own principles. How could Liuli bear Qin Guang's questioning of her? There was no other way, she had to maintain the majesty of the emperor in front of him. "Sai, my savior is so weak but his temper is so stubborn. I have to explain clearly to him, otherwise this guy will cause trouble sooner or later." What you said is very high-end. But I think the first plan's thought control is also pretty good. Pretty good? Let me put it this way. If I had only used mind control, she would have let you go without even knowing it. And then? When she wakes up, her colleagues will tell her what she did just now, but she will find that she has no memory of it, and she will make the decision to let you go purely without knowing it. What do you think will happen next? Probably, she'll rush over and grab me back and try to figure out what I did to her? That's right. I can only say that there will be endless troubles in the future. Aren't you afraid of troubles in the future the most? However, I used the second method to control her emotions. I didn't need a clear direction. I just needed to make her fall deeply in love with you. Then she would let you go. Moreover, she would remember every detail of the entire process and clearly know what she was thinking at that time. Although she didn't understand why she would suddenly fall in love with a stranger like you, she could deeply remember the feeling of being in love without any regard for her own safety. Love, no reason, no excuse. After that, she will only look for the reason from herself and will not suspect you. You won't have anything to worry about. You're right, I'm speechless. Qin Guang was tongue-tied. Lu Li's method was quite powerful, but unfortunately, it only lasted for half an hour. Do you still think that what I did was wrong? Emperor of the Azure became proud. I used all my strength for you, and you don't even know how to thank me, you heartless bastard. All right. Anyway, thanks a lot. Speaking of which, I only controlled her for half an hour, it's not enough. With the old man's endurance, it would take at least 4 hours. Qin Guang became happy, thinking that Emperor of the Azure's method was quite good, and he could use it more in the future. Save it, I only used it once and it lasted for half an hour. Even the lustrous feather robe was gone. Again. I can't be bothered with you. I already said that this Emperor's divine power is low, and I used so much in one go. Let me tell you. I overdraft again. If it wasn't for this Emperor being willing to show you how powerful this great ant is, I wouldn't even bother to help you. I already said that the hardest thing to fathom is the human heart. Even a mortal's heart is mysterious and hard to fathom. The amount of divine power needed to control a person's emotions is no less than killing a deity. Suddenly, Qin Guang had an uneasy feeling in his heart as he muttered, I've overdrawn myself again? You're saying that the divine power you used just now can kill a deity? This rhythm seemed familiar. The instantaneous sea was something that you created because you wanted to save face. Next, I experienced the mosaic pond if I overdraft again. Hey. Are you a moonlight swiper clan? Why are you getting poorer as you live? It's like this. So, I'm afraid that your next realm in the cup will shrink again. It's all your fault, you've only completed 2 of the lowest realm in the cup, the spirit-seeing sky test. This old woman is really unlucky, I don't even know when I can recover my divine power. I'm really King a dog. Can I happily be a divine equipment? Last time you gave me a mosaic pond, this time you're going to give me a nutrition cabin? Shouldn't the crux of the problem be the instantaneous sea that you created for me the first time? Let's not talk about the past. Anyway, in your words, the next test is indeed a mosaic nutrition cabin. Forget about the nutrition cabin. There's even a mosaic. *CK. You must be a clown sent by the endless god realm to trick me. There's no need for other tests. Locking me in a mosaic nutrition cabin is the most terrifying confinement in history. You can't be serious, right? I'm serious. Helping you this time really cost me so much I've even taken off my clothes. What else do you expect? Alright, it's not easy to recover some divine power, it's a waste to come out and talk nonsense with you. I really have to go. The next time I come out, it will be the time for you to accept the test. Be mentally prepared. Young man. Let's work hard together and create a better tomorrow. After saying this, Emperor of the Azure really stopped moving. Wait a minute. Tell me when you're coming out next time. Otherwise, how do you expect me to prepare? There was no sound. She had indeed disappeared. Qin Guang wanted to smash the cup in his hand. Why were other people's portable grandpas so cool? Other people's artifacts could level up 2 times a day, dominate the world in 3 days, but when it came to his turn, not only was there no hope of leveling up, it was actually regressing. The world in the cup was getting smaller and smaller, and it was getting worse and worse. King leveled up in the opposite direction. Then what's the next step for the nutrition cabin? A coffin that can only hold half a body? Or maybe an urn? He finally understood, no matter how powerful and effective the second plan was to change feelings, he could not let Emperor of the Azure use it easily in the future. The loss was too great, it was too heavy. Moreover, her method still had a time limit, to overdraft her divine power for a short period of pleasure, making the world in the cup worse and worse. He would rather die than accept such a deceptive setting. Picking up the cup, looking at the bikini portrait on it, Qin Guang used his finger to poke the chest of the portrait. I'm so angry, I'll poke you until you explode. Chapter 62. In the end, he still couldn't break it. After all, the portrait on the cup was embedded in the glass. Even if he used a knife, he wouldn't be able to cut it. As he went upstairs, Qingguang thought to himself, because of my matter today, Lin Jingwei and the others have been busy the whole day. I haven't gone back yet. They must still be worried about me, right? When he walked to the door of the dormitory, there was a huge argument going on inside. Qingguang was touched. What a group of good brothers. They must be discussing how to break into the prison to save me, right? He pushed the door open. Bai Nyangzi, you scammer. I told you that the current blue cat is weak. I told you not to choose, but you insisted. It's been almost 30 minutes and you, a mid-blue cat, haven't even spawned a single purple grudge. What are we going to use to fight the other side? Xiong yelled at the top of his lungs. You still have the face to say that? You play support without buying chicken. The other side's bounty comes to attack me once every minute, and you don't even give me a true sight. The other side's bad support teams up to farm me every day, and not a single TP comes to save me. You still have the face to scold me? Bai Nyangzi didn't want to be outdone. Little Lin said quietly, you guys hold on for another 20 minutes and I'll come out of the mountain. Come out of the mountain, my ass. The base is going to explode. Hurry up and come back. We're going to be tortured. He was touched for nothing. This group of animals. Pushing open the door, Qingguang went straight to his desk. That scammer Azure still didn't have a specific time to appear, but she had used up a lot of energy today. At the very least, she definitely wouldn't appear for the test in the cup today. Qingguang could finally catch his breath. The long-awaited sound of the computer booting up almost moved him to tears. Yo, brother Guang, you're back? Lin Jingwei finally saw Qingguang when he was drinking water. The other two didn't even raise their heads. Bai Fan said, it's good that you're back. Hurry up and turn it on. Tomorrow is the sports meet. If the power doesn't go out tonight, we can still do 3 more rounds. Qingguang was furious. You 3 heartless beasts. Who the hell wants to fight with you? That's right, his hands were also itching. He hadn't dared to relax for even a second for many years. His heart was tired and he wanted to play a game to relax. However, he was unsure of his current state in Dota 2. He did not know to what extent the aftereffects of being forced to become the best player in history had been alleviated. If he were to play together with these 3 grandsons, 1 round would definitely not be enough. Bai Nyangzi would ask for 3 rounds the moment he opened his mouth. He had a phobia of Dota 2, but he didn't have any other games that he liked. He could only think of a way to adapt to it bit by bit. He opened the app and logged into his account. A party invitation immediately popped up. It was from Wenwen. Qingguang accepted the invitation. You're about to take the CET4 exam. Why aren't you studying? Wenwen asked him in the party channel. With a chuckle, Qingguang replied, don't worry about it. I guarantee that I'll complete the mission. I'll only play 1 round. That's fine. We agreed to only play 1 round. If you dare to start a second round, I'll chop you to death. Wenwen was a little distrustful of Qingguang. Just 1 round. I said 1 round and I'll do it. By the way, why didn't you play by yourself? I only went online for less than 5 seconds before you added me. Don't tell me it's such a coincidence that you just finished a round? Qingguang asked as the 2 of them started to queue. I was just watching a drama. I put my account here to spy on you. Sure enough, I caught you red-handed. On the other side of the computer, Wenwen had a proud look on her face. She didn't know why, but as long as she was chatting with Qingguang, she would become very relaxed. After waiting for about 2 to 3 minutes, the 2 of them finally started playing. On the other side, Bai Fan and the other 2 animals finally finished their round. Without any suspense, the 3 of them were beaten up by their opponents in a fancy manner. They gave their opponents a good show of respect and love. With their broken and wounded hearts, the 3 of them gathered behind Qingguang. This guy teamed up with the beautiful Wenwen again. He's a shameless bootlicker. Lin Jingwei clenched his teeth. 5,000 points in a team. His actual combat power is 3,000 points. Brother Guang, you're really the glory of the bootlicker world. You must have a unique bootlicker technique. Bai Fan was jealous and envious. Wenwen is really my goddess. She's beautiful, plays games well, and has an even better temper. If it were me, I'd definitely be pissed to death when I bring Brother Guang to a 5,000-point game every day. Sigh, it's just that Goddess Wenwen's eyesight isn't that good. How did she fall for Brother Guang? Xiong Jinka, this idiot actually learned to complain. Qingguang slammed the table. You 3 snobbish huskies. Shut up. Old man, I'll let you know what it means to be treated differently after 3 days apart. Brother Guang, don't mess around. Do you think we don't know you? You can drag us down even when teaming up with the 3 of us who have 4,000 points. Goddess Wenwen said that playing games with you is called weight-bearing training. We understand you. Don't force yourself. It's not shameful to play badly. We're even envious of you for being so lousy. Otherwise, we'd have the chance to give Wenwen goddess weight-bearing training. Bai Nyangzi had a lot of theories when it came to attacking people. He said he was scolding people, but he was really envious of them. A person needs a face and a tree needs a bark. Although Qin Guang was thick-skinned, if he didn't prove something he would be letting down the 3 months of hellish training in the world in the cup. Putting on his headphones, Qin Guang cut off the buzzing of the 3 flies. He focused all his attention on the game. Sigh, as a winner in life with a godly weapon, sometimes it's really lonely. Not only did he have to slap the faces of ugly villains like Pan Jiang, Dong Tao, or Zheng He, but now he couldn't even let his roommates go. A general's success is built on thousands of bones. My back is destined to be littered with corpses. Brothers, don't worry. After I slap your faces to death, I'll arrange your corpses beautifully. As usual, the mid lane would always belong to Wenwen, and Qin Guang was the ironclad support. In the past, he would try his best to choose a support with a higher tolerance for mistakes. For example, the Tide Hunter, which was hard to leave empty, or the Silencer, which had a full screen of skills. But this time he chose to use the extremely difficult Brother Mongrel, which was known in the Jianghu as one move to conquer the world. I used to tease you guys because I was afraid that you'd feel inferior. Today I'll show you what it means to be a one-trick pony. His actions caused the 3 bastards behind him to mock him mercilessly. In a game like Dota 2, there were at most 20 to 30 people out of 100 who could use pony. There were no more than 5 who could play it proficiently. Those who dared to call themselves pony were 1 in a million. Bai Nyangzi and the others didn't think that Qin Guang could control this extremely difficult hero. But seeing Qin Guang's confident expression, they stopped playing and sat behind Qin Guang, waiting to watch a good show. Game start. Wenwen's mid laner had always been steady and fierce. Although she played a Shadow Fiend with an off-the-charts taunt, when she reached level 3, she used triple destruction to send the opposing mid laner, Windrunner, back to the spring. As for Qin Guang's pony, it was still in the forest stocking up for Wenwen. The 3 animals had already started to ridicule him. I understand now. Your specialty is stocking up for mid-lane heroes, right? Strictly speaking, you're a very competent support. Lin Jingwei mocked mercilessly. Qin Guang didn't say a word and quietly moved closer to the middle lane. Ah, you're sharing your experience with me. Qin Guang, you bastard. Wenwen yelled angrily. Qin Guang, you bastard. Bai Nyangzi pinched his nose and mimicked Wenwen's sweet emphasis. He couldn't stop laughing. At this moment, 2 people rushed out from the shadows in the middle lane. The opponents opened up the fog to catch Wenwen. When they broke through the fog, both sides were already within range of their skills. Wenwen was dead meat. At this moment, Qin Guang's skill had already flown over. The 2 opponents who just broke through the fog were locked in place. It was as if he already knew that the opponents would appear from this position at this time, because his flying skill required time. In fact, he had already kicked the green feces before the opponents broke through the fog and revealed themselves. Wenwen turned around and fired 2 shots. Just now, when he leached off Wenwen's experience, he was actually trying to get his second skill after leveling up to level 2. Qin Guang had just leveled up to level 2, but he had already activated his skill. He flew over and transformed into a boulder, crashing into the opponent's heroes. With the speed reduction effect, the 2 opponents' movements paused. Immediately after, Wenwen adjusted her position and fired the 3rd shot. Big Porco. Double kill. How the hell did you do it? Big question marks came from both inside and outside the earpiece. 15 seconds ago, the support in their advantageous lane disappeared. I knew they were coming. Their hero's initial movement speed is 305. I didn't buy any shoes. Our Shadow Fiend is about to level up to level 5. They're definitely going to make a move, so I prepared in advance. Qin Guang's tone was so calm that it could even be seen from water. However, his tone was filled with a strong sense of pretentiousness. The sound of people gasping could be heard. Be it Wenwen or Bai Nyangzi, the 3 animals, they were all shocked. Qin Guang smiled indifferently again. Don't worry, the show has just begun. Well, in fact, he was already laughing in his heart. Chapter 63. This game only lasted for 20 minutes. After Qin Guang helped Wenwen take down the first 2 kills, he quickly leveled up to level 4. He had more skills and was even more unreasonable when he showed off. In less than 20 minutes he, a support cat who had not killed a single soldier, was already wearing secret magic shoes, holding a pushing stick in his left hand, a flashing dagger in his right, and a big magic bottle hanging on his waist. Oh, he also had a pair of real and fake eyes. The opponent's vision was suppressed, the mid lane was completely destroyed, and the top and bottom lanes were harassed by fat cats. 3 lanes collapsed, 3 lanes kneeled, the headcount ratio was 0 to 18, the economic gap was infinitely large, and they would die wherever they went. Snatching talismans drowned in the river, fighting in the wilderness resulted in a loss of both players and money. In short, they could not play anymore. Finally, someone started to notice the opponent's ID, and then remembered the top 10 highlights that had shaken the entire Dota world these days. Qin Guang's opponents finally remembered the horror of being abused by this duo. The difference was that in the highlights, it was others who were abused, but now they were the ones being abused. If there were no accidents, today's match would be in the highlights again. Although they could be on TV, they could not feel happy at all. Sad. They were hung up and beaten by a god. When the opponent typed GG Wonwon by fan Lin Jingwei and Xiong Jinka all had a huge question mark in their hearts. Wonwon was the first to speak. Be honest, were you captured by aliens for research? This doesn't make sense. Last time you said it was a god's play, what is it this time? Qin Guang laughed. If I said it was also a god's play, would you believe me? Wonwon spat. Hee hee. See, you wouldn't believe me even if I told you. But I don't know how to explain this. Honestly, I must have had an epiphany at that time. You know what epiphany is? It's like those martial arts masters in novels. When they are fighting with others, they suddenly go on a mental journey, and all kinds of earth-shattering martial arts epiphanies appear spontaneously. It can't be stopped. After the epiphany, his entire person immediately transformed, his realm rose greatly, and his strength increased explosively. That's what happened to me at that time. That's right. I had an epiphany when I put the cup down after drinking the water for 5 seconds. Qin Guang told the truth. This was the truth. As for the 3 months of hellish training, it was just a small detail that did not require attention. From the surface, Qin Guang had transformed from a noob to a phoenix in 5 seconds. He had been reborn in the sea of stars of Dota. Really? You're amazing. I underestimated you. He could actually comprehend something like this. I was wondering what was going on with you that day. Don't worry, it'll be fine. You did have a momentary epiphany at that time, and then you improved too much in a short period of time. Your brain and body couldn't adapt, and that's why you felt nauseous. Your condition should be much better today, right? Wonwon actually believed it just like that. She even turned around and comforted Qin Guang, as if she was used to epiphanies and had a lot of experience. Qin Guang was stunned. Why didn't I know that you were such an innocent, cute, pure, and adorable girl in the past? An epiphany that only appeared in Wuxia novels, and she actually believed it so easily. Where's your scientific spirit? Did all those years of reading books go to waste? Aren't you ashamed of your identity as a new era university student? Alright, no matter what, Wonwon was easily fooled. After she chatted for a while, Qin Guang logged out of the game. The other 3 also heard most of the conversation between him and Wonwon. Qin Guang then told them about how he and Wonwon made a comeback in the internet cafe. On the other side, Bai Nyangzi had already opened the highlights of that match. After comparing the two, everyone was finally convinced that it was indeed Qin Guang. *CK. You're really something. Lin Jingwei patted Qin Guang's shoulder heavily and made a gesture of worship. Brother, are you still accepting disciples? Bai Nyangzi had already shamelessly approached Qin Guang to be his disciple. He completely forgot that just 20 minutes ago, he had used rather vicious words to mock Qin Guang. No wonder Goddess Wonwon favors you so much. She must have seen your potential, Brother Guang. Goddess, you're indeed a goddess. Xiong Jinka was such a simple-minded idiot. He always associated all good things with Wonwon. Even now that Qin Guang had become awesome, it was actually because of Wonwon's sharp eyes. In short, when you guys talk about games in front of me in the future, you'd better behave yourself. The old man is a genius that only appears once in 10,000 years. When he slaps someone's face, he doesn't even care about his own people. He even slaps his own people. Qin Guang laughed heartily. Looking at the little rascal's admiring and ashamed gazes, he felt a sour feeling in his heart. Brother Guang, let's play another round? Let us learn from you? Lin Jingwei and the others didn't want to play anymore, so they asked eagerly. Qin Guang chuckled. Forget it. Just now, Wonwon said that if I dare to play a second round, she'll kill me. I haven't lived long enough. Let's go. I need to go to the toilet. Pushing aside the few frogs at the bottom of the well who had never seen the world, Qin Guang got up and went straight to the toilet. As expected, he retched for a long time, making his stomach cramp. Leaning against the wall, Qin Guang walked out with a helpless expression. The aftereffects lasted longer than he had imagined. He heard that the prize money for this year's International Invitational Tournament was more than $1 million. If he could win it, his family's debt would be resolved. The old man had the heart and the strength to kill the thief, but his physical condition didn't allow it. Of course, winning the championship wasn't something that could be achieved by one's own strength alone. After all, this was a team game. To stand at the top of the world, 5 teammates had to work together. Everyone had to be in their best condition and be at their strongest in order to stand out in the International Invitational Tournament where all the heroes gathered. Apart from that, the greatest charm of Dota 2 was that until the last moment, you would never know who would win and who would lose. Even if you had an absolute advantage in strength, you might not be able to win the game. Qin Guang didn't have the courage and guts to become a professional player under the intense aftereffects of the special hellish training. When he thought about money, he couldn't help but feel troubled again. He didn't plan on reneging on the 1 in a million that he had to give to Wu Tong. With that domineering policewoman's temperament, he didn't have the courage to renege on a debt. Who knew if the next time she came looking for him, she would be a crazy tiger or a venomous snake? Poor me, I just got $50,000. I gave $40,000 to my dad first and I still have $10,000 left in my pocket. I thought that I didn't have to worry about anything and could live a comfortable life for a while, so I started to slack off these 2 days and didn't go to the sports car. In the end, before I could even warm up, I had to hand it over again. Even the $1,000 or so in the same card that was struggling at death's door could only be left with a fraction. Why was my life so bitter? Wouldn't I have to go to the sports car again? Chapter 64. Qin Guang was very unhappy the whole night. Although he had been slacking off a lot these days and had a lot of sports cars, the most important thing in life was to be happy. In life, the most important thing was to be in a good mood. Originally, sports cars had become something that could lighten one's mood, but now he had to do it for the sake of money. It was the same thing but in a different mood. That made him feel uncomfortable. Standing at the side of the stadium, Qin Guang felt bitter in his heart. He really couldn't be happy at all. He picked up the cup and drank some water. There was a tea leaf in his mouth, but he didn't spit it out immediately. Instead, he carefully took a few sips. When he left the dormitory this morning, Qin Guang very cleverly went to the grocery store to buy a cup cover and put the heavenly holy grail in it to prevent Lioli's bikini portrait from being exposed. It could be considered as saving his own face and protecting Lioli's body at the same time. It was really killing 2 birds with 1 stone. However, there was a small problem. Cup covers weren't commonly seen and usually not many guys would buy them. There weren't many in the grocery store, and even if there were, most of them were for girls. When Qin Guang went there were only 3 cup covers and they were all in the same format, pink Hello Kitty. God gave Qin Guang 3 choices but all 3 were B's. Since it was his own decision, he had to accept it even with tears in his eyes. Thus, Qin Guang used the Hello Kitty cup cover without hesitation. What kind of experience would it be like for a pure man to hold a pink Hello Kitty cup cover and stand in the stadium and drink water? One could simply try to figure it out with the eyes of others. Everyone looked askance at him. This was going to blind people's dog eyes. Qin Guang's face was calm. This brother's might and handsomeness couldn't be hidden. Since that was the case, he might as well face life with a smile. A true warrior often had to live under the strange gazes of others. Don't be infatuated with this brother. This brother doesn't walk the ordinary path. A track and field competition was going on in the stadium. The reason Qin Guang came here was simple. Sun Xiaoxuan and Wenwen would both participate in the women's 100-meter sprint. Qin Guang's swimming competition was in the afternoon, so he came here to see what was going on. Beside him was Bai Nyangzi, while Lin Jingwei and Xiong Jinka had gone to participate in their respective competitions. On the way, Bai Nyangzi had complained about Qin Guang's pink mug cover at least 50 times, so his mouth was now taped up. Woo woo. Woo 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 woo. White Snake was really a guy with tenacious willpower. Even if his mouth was stained, he could still express his thoughts through his whimpers. As he whimpered, he pointed at Qin Guang's cup with a weird smile. He understood the principle of, if you don't court death, you won't get. Brother Guang. Your condoms are so cute. Qin Guang rolled his eyes. Get lost. I'll stuff your nose too if you keep talking nonsense. *CK. Even his nose is blocked. Are you even human? Bai Nyangzi finally stopped. On the other side, the women's 100-meter sprint had entered the preparation stage. Sun Xiaoxuan and Wenwen were doing their own warm-ups in different areas. Sun Xiaoxuan actually knew Wenwen. After all, the campus belle of Wen University was quite famous. She had also waited for Qin Guang outside the classroom several times. For today's sprint competition, Wen University's campus belle wore a skin-tight sports singlet and a pair of elastic shorts that covered her knees. Although this way of dressing prevented all the possibility of being exposed, it also showed off her slender and beautiful figure. Even though she had deliberately kept a low profile, she still became the focus of the scene. As for Sun Xiaoxuan, the sprinting equipment she had chosen was relatively loose, so her figure was not obvious. Moreover, she was a little short, so she was drowned in the crowd. Only a few sharp-eyed people saw her and exclaimed, "Ah, look at that girl. She looks so pure." Qin Guang was well aware of Wenwen's ability. He was 100% sure that as long as she wanted to win the championship, no one would be her match. Therefore, Qin Guang was not worried about the campus belle at all. Instead, he was more concerned about Sun Xiaoxuan's condition. She had been drugged last night, so he did not know how she was recovering today. She would not faint halfway through the race, right? Sun Xiaoxuan's movements seemed a little stiff when she did her warm-up, so he could not help but worry about her. On the other side, the teacher responsible for arranging the groups for the preliminaries had already started calling people with the name list. Qin Guang began to put his hands together and pray. Bai Nyangzi, who was next to him, finally pulled off the tape on his face. "Brother Guang, you must be praying that the class rep and the campus belle won't be in the same group, right? Do you have the ability to read minds?" Bai Nyangzi had hit the nail on the head on Qin Guang's head, but how could he admit it? "Stop it. What does it matter if they're in the same group? I don't have anything to do with the two of them. I might be charming, but you can't possibly think that the two of them like me, right?" Qin Guang spoke calmly, but his trembling hands revealed the uneasiness in his heart. The class rep most likely won't be able to escape, but the campus belle probably doesn't like you. You two are basically bros. Although I haven't spoken to the campus belle many times, I can tell that we're the same type of person. Bai Nyangzi vowed solemnly. "What do you mean we're the same type of person? You're a sissy and Wenwen is a tomboy." "Okay, in a broad sense, the two of them are really different. They're the same type. Tomboys definitely can't like men. Something's wrong." Damn it, it seems like Bai Nyangzi is publicly admitting that his sexual orientation is incorrect. Is he hinting that he doesn't like women but men? Why is he hinting at me? Does he have feelings for me? Qin Guang's phone rang, and Bai Nyangzi's bitter voice came through. "I say, Brother Guang, how can you quietly move 50 meters away while thinking about things in your heart? I think you're only the size of a sesame seed." "It's okay, I can see better from here. It's cool and clear." Qin Guang stood at the entrance of the stadium and waved at Bai Nyangzi from afar. "Are you suspecting that I like men? I'm going to strangle you." Bai Nyangzi finally realized that something was wrong. "No, nothing of the sort." Qin Guang had already run to the other side of the stadium, facing Bai Nyangzi from afar. "We're all brothers, so don't get too excited. We'll each take one side and we'll surround all the beauties in the stadium. We'll catch them all in one go. F***CKU. Qin Guang joked with Bai Nyangzi while paying attention to the groups below. What he was afraid of had really happened. Wenwen and Sun Xiaoxuan were actually in the same group. He didn't know when the two of them had actually gathered together, and they were talking and laughing with each other. He didn't know what they were talking about. For a moment, Qin Guang's heart was itching, but he didn't have clairaudience. The stadium was noisy and he had to shout to speak from a distance of 2 meters, so how could he hear them clearly? He didn't know why, but looking at the sweet smile on their faces, Qin Guang was a little flustered. Chapter 65. No one knew what Wenwen and Sun Xiaoxuan talked about. They didn't talk for long and the sprint began soon. Sun Xiaoxuan seemed to be a bit angry. She was obviously not in a good state. After all, she had just drugged her last night. But she still stood in front of the starting point with a firm face, gritting her teeth and a firm look in her eyes. It was really strange to see such an expression on the face of a girl from Jiangnan, who was supposed to be as calm as water. On the other side, Wenwen, who was 3 tracks away from Sun Xiaoxuan, looked calm. She just stretched her body from time to time, revealing the explosive power hidden in her beautiful body. No matter how you looked at it, the champion of Wenwen and Sun Xiaoxuan's group would definitely be Wenwen. The others couldn't be considered a threat at all. Qin Guang, who was hiding in the crowd, shrunk his neck. He didn't know why, but he felt that Wenwen and Sun Xiaoxuan, who were 3 tracks away, were full of murderous intent and turbulent undercurrents. With the sound of the starting gun, everyone started running at full speed. Without any suspense, Wenwen had the absolute advantage from the beginning and took the lead. To everyone's surprise, Sun Xiaoxuan was not far behind Wenwen, firmly occupying the second place. Her gymnastics training wasn't for nothing. But for some reason Qin Guang felt that something was amiss about this matter. Wenwen ran with ease, but Sun Xiaoxuan risked his life to catch her. Finally, Wenwen and Sun Xiaoxuan crossed the finish line one after another. Wenwen slowed down slowly, but Sun Xiaoxuan fell to the ground in an ugly posture. He rolled around for a while before he managed to stabilize his body. Qin Guang was worried and wanted to rush over to help, but Wenwen had already helped Sun Xiaoxuan up. Sun Xiaoxuan's footsteps looked very weak, and she almost couldn't stand steadily. She had indeed used all her strength to run like this under the aftereffects of the drug. But even so, she still pushed away Wenwen's hand and moved to the side to hold the fence, gasping for breath. Then she turned her head to look at Wenwen and said something. Qin Guang was too far away and he didn't know how to read lips, so he could only watch anxiously. When Wenwen heard this, a meaningful smile blossomed on her face. No one knew what she said to Sun Xiaoxuan, but she immediately turned around and left. Qin Guang was going to help Sun Xiaoxuan, but Gaoya was already there. She supported Sun Xiaoxuan and waved her fist at the back of Wenwen, who was leaving without looking back as if to demonstrate her power. Thus Qin Guang wisely decided to flee. Although he didn't do anything wrong and didn't do anything, the intense smell of gunpowder definitely had something to do with him, no matter how he looked at it. If the old man wasn't being narcissistic, there wouldn't be any suspense at all. Otherwise, why would Sun Xiaoxuan and Wenwen, two people who had nothing to do with each other, get into a conflict like this? That's right. They must be fighting over him. The old man had this kind of charm. But what did they talk about just now? Qin Guang really wanted to know. But subconsciously he told himself that he couldn't ask. If he didn't ask, everything would remain the same. But there were some things and some words that he couldn't say out loud. Forget it, I'll pretend I didn't see anything. Quietly hiding in the crowd, Qin Guang slipped out of the stadium. On the other side, Bai Nyangzi called. He was howling over the phone. Hey, Brother Guang. Where did you go? The class leader is about to collapse. Come and help. Qin Guang chuckled. Aren't you and Gaoya here? I have something urgent to attend to, so I have to go. How would I dare to help my sister-in-law? If this happened in ancient times, I'd be drowned in a pig cage. Bai Nyangzi really wanted to see the world in chaos. Qin Guang spat. *CK off. Who asked you to help her? Gaoya will be fine, right? You just have to watch from the side and call me if there's an emergency. Oh yeah, if there's a chance, help me ask what Sun Xiaoxuan and Wenwen said just now. Why do my words sound wrong? Shouldn't I refute what his sister-in-law said first? On the other end of the line, Bai Nyangzi looked like he understood. I get it. She's the campus belle of Wen University after all. What do you know? Qin Guang cursed inwardly. Bai Nyangzi chuckled. Brother Guang, you don't have to say any more. I understand men's thoughts. Don't worry, I won't let you down. Don't worry. Why should I worry? What's your mission? Qin Guang quickly asked. On the other end, Bai Nyangzi had already hung up. Qin Guang suddenly felt that it was a complete mistake to let Bai Nyangzi be a spy. Forget it. Since things have come to this, I don't care anymore. I don't have the time to play any tricks to please both sides, especially when one of them is a real brother, Wenwen. I don't have such a heavy taste, but she's a tomboy. The old man had no desires. Just imagining himself dating Wenwen and seeing her act like a couple, he had goosebumps all over his body. What the old man was most worried about now was money. Qin Guang squeezed the bank card in his wallet bitterly. His heart ached when he thought about how he was about to have a slimming operation. Just then his cell phone rang. He picked it up and saw that it was an unknown number. A man's sixth sense came into play. Without a doubt it must be Wu Tong. He had registered her number yesterday. Now that she was calling, it was most likely to be a debt collector. As expected, he picked up the call. Hello, Qin Guang, are you in school now? I'm Wu Tong. I'm looking for you in school. Sorry, the number you have dialed is unavailable. Please try again later. Can you not be childish? Can't you at least act a little more realistic? Your phone's operator is unavailable. Are you trying to call me later? Wu Tong expressed her disdain to him. Qin Guang pinched his thigh. Tell me, why are you looking for me? I just went to Shenangjia with my tutor for a scientific investigation. You know Shenangjia, right? It's the place where savages roar through the mountains and plains. You can even see tigers from time to time. I'm very busy. If there's anything, can you wait until I come back? What's the matter? Have you forgotten that you still haven't paid the 10,000 yuan fine? Yesterday when I helped you with the procedures, I used my own money to pay for it. You have to pay me back, right? You can't possibly renege on the police's money, right? That's right. Wu Tong, who had fallen in love yesterday, did not take this matter seriously. She simply used her own money to pay for it. Today she really wanted to look for Qin Guang. She could use this matter as an excuse. Actually, she wasn't bothered about the money, but she wanted to use this as an excuse to meet with Qin Guang again. Last night's incident was too bizarre, and she couldn't understand it. So she wouldn't feel uneasy if she didn't confirm the situation. She could not face herself like that. Qin Guang was amused. If that was the case, then don't blame the old man for being ruthless. When the old man became shameless, even he was afraid. Chapter 66. There's actually such a good thing? The money should be paid by him. No matter how unwilling Qin Guang was, he wouldn't renege on his debt. But since you've already paid for me and I didn't write you an IOU, and you're such a hateful person, how can I return the money to you so easily? Even if I drag it out for 10 days to half a month to disgust you, I'll still save the money in some bank and earn a few dozen yuan in interest. It's decided then. Wu Tong really overestimated Qin Guang. She didn't care about money, but Qin Guang cared about money. Okay, Officer Wu, I'll definitely return the money later. But I really can't come back these 2 days. There's a cave in front. My tutor went in first, I can't talk to you now, I have to follow and see the situation. Don't worry, how could I renege on my debt? I wouldn't dare even if I had 10,000 guts. When I come back, I promise I'll return the money to you. Okay, I'm afraid it's not safe for the tutor to be alone in the cave. I'll hang up first, I'll call you later. Platter. After saying that, Qin Guang really hung up. What you want is pure love, what I want is only interest. As the saying goes, summer insects cannot talk about ice. This is the logic. Qin Guang whistled happily, ran to the cafeteria alone, and rubbed himself a fat meal. Then he took his swimming suit and hid in a corner of the school, quietly waiting for the afternoon competition. There was still a follow-up competition in the afternoon, so Sun Xiaoxuan definitely wouldn't be able to come and see him. Qin Guang felt that this was also a good thing. He could quietly swim through this round before running to his car. He was lacking money. In the middle, Sun Xiaoxuan gave him a call. Hey, class monitor, I watched your race in the gym today, you ran well. But then I was in a hurry so I left early so I didn't come over to say hello. By the way, your body hasn't recovered yet, don't work so hard in the afternoon, okay? The most important thing is to participate. It wouldn't be good if you accidentally hurt yourself. As soon as the phone was connected, Qin Guang said in one breath. He didn't ask what Wenwen said to her. He was deliberately avoiding it. On the other side of the phone, Sun Xiaoxuan also grunted. Bai Fan told me everything. Don't worry, I'm just a little unconvinced this morning. I don't want to admit defeat. On the other end of the phone, Qin Guang raised his eyebrows. From the girl's words, he heard something different. It seemed that Sun Xiaoxuan had changed. In the past, she was always so gentle and quiet, a standard Jiangnan girl. Even if Pan Jiang tried to drug her, when she mentioned Pan Jiang again, she would not show that kind of hatred. She would only treat Pan Jiang as a stranger. But today, such a simple sentence conveyed a strong message to Qin Guang. She was still the same person, but she had found a goal that could change her personality. In order to achieve this goal, she didn't hesitate to change herself from an introverted and reserved girl to a strong and unyielding woman. What did Wenwen say to you? In the end, Qin Guang didn't dare to ask directly, although that's true, but I know what you mean. Don't worry, I get it. Sprinting is not my strength, so why should I fight in a field where someone is better than me? It's not wise to attack the opponent's strong point with my weak point. Besides, I lost in the end. But I didn't think I had to win, I just didn't want her to look down on me. Sun Xiaoxuan said a few more words, then said, You have to do your best in the swimming competition in the afternoon. I can't come, but you still have to win. Then she hung up the phone. Qin Guang couldn't take it anymore, so he quickly called Wenwen. I say, Miss Wen, what did you say to Sun Xiaoxuan today? There's nothing between me and her, all right? Qin Guang said ferociously as he continued, Don't try anything weird with me. What do you mean by two girls fighting for a husband? That doesn't fit the old man's style. Pfft. Wenwen, who was on the other end of the phone, couldn't help but laugh. I didn't say anything to her. I just said that Qin Guang often mentioned you to me, saying that you helped him a lot in class. That's all. What the F asterisk CK? What do you mean I often mentioned her to you? That's a groundless thing, okay? Qin Guang vomited blood. Wenwen laughed. What else could I say? I'm your bro and she's your class monitor. We're at least acquaintances, so you can't just say hello when you see her, right? Isn't that too distant? But she's acting so weird now. I'm a little panicked. Isn't it easy to misunderstand what you said? Qin Guang said. Wenwen laughed. Bro, I'm helping you. You've been single for 3 years and in another year you'll be kicked out of school. I know that I'm a beautiful lady, and I've raised your aesthetic standards, making you picky. As your best friend, I feel very ashamed and remorseful. It's my fault for being too beautiful. I think this Sun Xiaoxuan is not bad, and she's also very beautiful. If I can really get you two together because of this, won't you thank me? That makes sense. Qin Guang was left speechless. He felt that Wenwen definitely didn't say everything, but he knew that it was pointless for him to ask again. She was like this. If she was willing to tell you, she would tell you from the beginning. If she didn't want to say it, you wouldn't be able to hear it even if you held a knife to your neck. Wenwen looked at her watch. Okay, your competition is about to start, so don't talk nonsense with me. You've been playing games, competing in swimming, and going to the police station for the past few days. Don't forget what you have to do. The CET4 exam is only 2 weeks away. If you fail again, your degree will be gone. This lady's blood-vomiting boob bounty is also going to be ruined. How does she know I'm in the police station? Qin Guang's heart skipped a beat, but before he could ask again, the woman hung up the phone. I've had enough. Why do you always only say half of what you want to say? Isn't this torturing me? Class rep son, oh class rep son, why are you so naive? Didn't you notice the nature of Wenwen, this tomboy? A normal man can like anyone, but he can't like her. At most, we can only be considered as gay. What kind of jealousy are you eating? Is there a need to give me a nirvana rebirth metamorphosis? Qin Guang fiercely hung up the phone. He didn't realize that the reason why he could change Sun Xiaoxuan's mentality was because Wenwen deliberately made Sun Xiaoxuan feel like a love rival. However, if Sun Xiaoxuan's feelings weren't so firm, then this love rival identity wouldn't be established. At this moment, he completely forgot that less than an hour ago, there was still police officer Wu Tong, who loved him to death last night, and today became his creditor, who was also hung up by him. Chapter 67. Come to think of it, Wenwen's big sale? Hee, I'm looking forward to it. At that time, all I need to do is cover her face with a piece of paper. She should forget the cruel truth that I'm a tomboy, and enjoy my exclusive benefits wholeheartedly, right? That's right, I have to cover my face. Otherwise, I won't be able to stand it. With this in mind, Qin Guang dived into the pool in a daze. Without any suspense, those who were unfortunately placed in the same group as him in the second round of the preliminaries once again fell under his tight-fitting pomegranate swimming trunks. Dong Tao might have used his connections to avoid Qin Guang in the second round of the preliminaries. However, Qin Guang had also grasped a little about the way to enter the water. Without slapping the water with his palms, his speed had increased. Even if Dong Tao was given another chance, he wouldn't end up any better. After leaving him in the dust, it was time for him to enjoy the passionate pursuit of the people in the swimming complex. After yesterday's incident, Torpedo Light had become a celebrity in the school's swimming circle, a typical representative of the masters among the people. The number of fans he had also increased from 0 to many. It was a qualitative change. Qin Guang had just taken a shower and was walking out of the changing room in casual clothes. He bumped into Coach Qin. Student Qin Guang. Please wait. Coach Qin still didn't give up. Coach Qin. Look over there. It's going to fall. It's going to hit someone. Qin Guang squatted down and suddenly pointed at the ceiling of the swimming complex, his face full of horror. Coach Qin's heart skipped a beat. He quickly turned his head and looked in the direction Qin Guang was pointing at. Strange, there was nothing there. When he turned his head again, Qin Guang had already slipped away. As he ran, he wiped his tears at the girls waiting for him at the door. Cute little girls, it's not that I don't want to stay and talk philosophy with you. It's just that the conditions don't allow me to. If I had the chance, I would like to exchange numbers with each of you, have dinner with you, sing karaoke and have some fun. But I can't. Coach Qin was too clingy. Damn Coach Qin. Damn Coach Qin. With a monstrous hatred for Qin Yuanhua, Qin Guang ran out of the swimming complex with tears and snot, and went straight to the parking lot. My brother, Qin Guang, is going to make a comeback? He happily drove out of the school. Although he felt a little lonely and cold when he thought that he would soon become a pauper again, there was a high chance that he would not be satisfied in this world. Since the money was gone, he could earn it again. Nothing could stop him from living happily. At least he was much happier than Pan Jiang, who was treating eggs in the hospital, right? That afternoon, Qingguang of it. Of Coach Qingguang. Chin of it. Chin Qingguan of tu of tu of zhou. Of chin of. Tu and he. Chin of goof car of tu for. He do. He parked the car on the side of the road and calculated for a while. Deducting the cost of the gas, he could earn a net profit of nearly 200 yuan. Just thinking about it made him feel good. He swallowed his saliva and muttered to himself. He had one last regret today. The girl from Dechuan Conservatory of Music that he had just pulled was very pretty. He had been chatting along the way and he could have asked for her phone number. Unfortunately, he was thirsty and wanted to drink water. She accidentally noticed his Hello Kitty cup cover. Well, this time it was all for naught. The other party thought that he was a little pink and immediately lost the mood to talk. Now that he thought about it, his heart was throbbing in pain. The scumbags in the Louting Network's drivers group were bragging about how they could pull beautiful girls to bed from time to time when they pulled for customers. Why was the old man young, handsome, humorous, and witty? He had been driving for more than half a year. How could he still get a zero? There was no reason. Well, that's right. Those scumbags all drove BMWs. His Hyundai was borrowed. If a worker wanted to do a good job, he must first sharpen his tools. When will I be able to be like everyone else, driving a Panamera and paging a car on the internet? With a trace of melancholy and a trace of resentment, Qingguang started the car and prepared to go back to school. How could he have known that someone had driven him to the brink of collapse during this entire day? That's right, that person was Wu Tong. The dignified Wenxing branch's domineering police beauty, Wu Tong, who had beaten everyone in Wujing City's police force, had actually been defeated by a third-year boy. How could she tolerate this? Last night, she had inexplicably become infatuated with him. That was a huge grudge. Not being able to lock him up for 15 days was the second biggest grudge. In addition, she had been away from home for almost 3 months. She had been living frugally. Even her skincare products had been bought from the Sparrow Antelope. The 10,000 yuan that she had saved with great difficulty had all been used up. How dare you go back on your words? You even made up some nonsense about Shenangjia? This was the third biggest grudge. Shenangjia, right? Cave, right? Savage, right? Aren't you just in Wujing City? I'll beat you until you turn into a savage. Wu Tong was furious because of the additional enmity. After using a lot of connections, she finally obtained the online monitoring rights of Qingguang's phone. Then she took half a day off from the police station and drove off with her teeth clenched. When it came to using connections, once a precedent was set, it was like a crack in a dam. It would not be easy to stop it. With the anger of a girl who had been hurt by love and the persistence of a creditor, Wu Tong today was even fiercer than a tigress. She was probably at the level of Wu Song, who had killed a tiger. Qingguang's location would be sent to her phone every 10 minutes. Usually, this was a technical method used to deal with a heavyweight fugitive suspect. It was not easy for Wu Tong to get it. When she first received his location, Qingguang was still in Gokyo University. Wu Tong thought it would be a piece of cake to catch him, but she did not expect that this was just the beginning of her nightmare. 10 minutes later, when she drove to the entrance of Gokyo University, Qingguang had already run to Daijian Road outside Wenxing Town. Another 10 minutes later, Wu Tong finally reached Daijian Road, but Qingguang had already entered Wujing City's third ring road. Ah! I'm going to strangle you to death, you bastard! Wu Tong roared as she started the car and continued to chase after him. An hour later, Wu Tong began to doubt her life. She even called the Municipal Bureau's information department and questioned their professionalism. She even suspected that her connections were not good enough, and she was deliberately tricked by the information department. Otherwise, how could she explain why he appeared in a completely different location every time? The people from the information department repeatedly said that there was no problem with the location system. Since they had agreed to this, they would not deliberately trick you. They guaranteed that the location data they provided was not false. For this to happen, it could only mean that the other party was indeed in constant motion. Wu Tong felt that her whole body was not good. Are you a perpetual motion machine or something? Once you stop, your heart will stop beating? Will you die? Another 2 hours passed and Wu Tong's car ran out of gas, and the engine stalled halfway. She stopped the car by the side of the road, her face ashen and covered in dust. For the whole day, Wu Tong was so afraid of losing him that she did not even notice the warning light of the fuel tank. Great, now it actually stopped. It was just tracking a student. Why was it more difficult than tracking an international criminal? You bastard, even if you knew I was going to chase you for a debt, you didn't have to run from the south of the city to the east of the city, then from the east to the west, then from the west to the north of the city around the second ring road, then directly to the newly built East Railway Station, and then I can't take it anymore. You're just a student, but your anti-tracking ability is out of this world. I choose to die. In the end, Wu Tong had no choice but to call Wang Long for help and get him to send a barrel of oil over. In the process, she even tearfully complained about Qin Guang's wandering around the entire day and expressed her doubts about his identity as a student. There was no reason for a normal student to run so many places in a day. This guy must be a spy from the enemy country. I have to catch him and interrogate him. Wang Long only used one sentence to make Wu Tong speechless. Wang Long said, since he's a student, he'll have to go back to school sooner or later. Why are you chasing him all over the city? He can't just not stop for the rest of his life, can he? Wu Tong wanted to strangle herself. Chapter 68. At 10:30 at night, Qin Guang drove leisurely back to school, summarizing his gains and losses for the day in his heart. From time to time he would recite the golden rule of doing business, or else he would wail like a ghost and howl like a wolf. In order to deal with the elusive Emperor of the Azure and the heavenly Holy Grail, Qin Guang was really tired. He felt extremely helpless about this. As the owner of a Goldfinger, he did not feel the thrill of being able to save the world and dominate the world by lying down. This simple life was more tiring than being a villain, and he could not even relax his mind. If he was not careful, he would fall into a trap. Wu Tong parked her car outside Gokyo University and stared at the intersection. If one wanted to drive into Gokyo University from the outside, this intersection was the only way. She planned to block people here. However, there was something that she was particularly concerned about. It seemed that she was not the only one who had this plan. On the other side of the intersection, there were two vans parked in the forest beside the road. From time to time, there were people peeking at the intersection from that direction. With Wu Tong's professional eyes, she could tell at a glance that this group of people was a little sneaky. She did not take it seriously. If they were really planning to do something illegal, she could make a contribution today. The Wenqing branch was only a few minutes' drive away from here. If the situation was not good, she could send out an internal distress signal, and her colleagues would be able to arrive in 10 minutes at the latest. The other party had obviously seen Wu Tong, but they did not take her seriously. At this time, Wu Tong was wearing casual clothes and driving her own private off-road vehicle instead of a police car. No matter how one looked at her, no one would think that she was a police officer. They would only think that she was a delicate beauty. Wu Tong's phone rang. She picked it up and looked at it. She immediately sat up straight, and her expression became more focused. The GPS showed that Qin Guang's current location was less than 5 minutes' drive away from here. About 20 minutes ago, he began to approach the direction of Gokyo University from the city. He was going back to school. Wu Tong began to observe the situation at the intersection. At the same time, she was also thinking about how to safely stop Qin Guang later. After all, the purpose of her visit this time was to beat up Qin Guang and turn him into a savage. Otherwise, Wu Tong would directly go to school and wait for him. It's better to beat people up outside the school. Although I'm a public servant, I still have to pay attention to my image. Lights shone from the intersection from afar. Calculating the time, it was about time for Qin Guang's car to arrive. Wu Tong had already opened the door and got out of the car. She was about to reach out her hand to stop the car. At this moment, the group of people on the other side of the intersection suddenly became active. A person was talking on the phone while getting out of the car and shouting something. Two people who were originally standing on the side of the road heard the person shouting and suddenly grabbed two palm-sized rocks from the roadside. Wu Tong's heart went cold. Could it be that these people were also here to stop Qin Guang? Not only did they have people guarding here, but they also had spies at the intersection ahead? They came prepared. Wu Tong couldn't hear what the people on the other side were shouting. The only thing she could be sure of was that this group of people was really here to stop Qin Guang. At this moment, the lights on the other side became brighter and brighter. Qin Guang's car was coming. Qin Guang didn't know that there was a group of people waiting for him in front of him. As usual, when he turned the corner, he slightly braked, slowed down, and prepared to turn right. This place had a speed limit of 40 kilometers per hour. There was a huge pit and there was a surveillance camera just around the corner. If one wasn't an experienced driver, it would be very easy to be tricked here. Every time he passed by this place, old driver Chen would feel very accomplished. He would look up proudly and look at the surveillance camera with a rather disdainful gaze. Trying to trick me? No way. However, things were a little different today. Two people suddenly ran over from the opposite side of the road. It was very sudden and strange. Behind these two people were about 12 or 13 people, and they were very aggressive. When he took a closer look, he saw that the two people running at the front had their right hands raised flat on their shoulders, and in their palms, they were holding a big orange rock. The other party was clearly coming for him. F***CK. Just as Qin Guang cursed, the two people made their move. With a wave of their hands, the rock in their hands flew out, heading towards his front windshield. Although he didn't know where the other party came from, he could only take it. He slammed on the brakes. Before the car came to a stop, one of the two rocks had already hit the front windshield. Bang! Even tempered glass could not withstand such a powerful rock, let alone a direct hit. The glass cracked and caved in. Cracks like a spider web spread from the top of the glass to the bottom, from the left to the right, accompanied by the creaking sound of ice breaking. The shape of the cracks was regular, like a meticulously carved work of art. If this wasn't his car, Qin Guang would definitely sigh in his heart. This F***King rock was thrown with such a high standard. It was the reincarnation of Van Gogh. The other rock hit the hood of the car with a loud bang and left a large dent. That wasn't the end. After the two people threw the rock, they moved to the side. From the group of people behind them, more than 10 eggs flew over. Even if these people didn't throw very accurately, only 3 eggs hit the front windshield. The egg whites and yolks almost blocked the driver's vision. It was useless to use the windshield wiper. It would only make the wiper more messy. The other party acted quickly and premeditatedly. They didn't want him to drive away. The car finally came to a dead stop. Half of the car was pressed against the roadside. Qin Guang's heart ached for the big dent on his windshield and hood as he opened the door and got out. The other party had a lot of people and they were coming at him aggressively. The car's vision was completely blocked and he couldn't drive anymore. Of course, he had to get out of the car as soon as possible. He couldn't let himself be trapped in the car. He reached into his pocket and took out his baton. With a bang, the baton was pulled straight. Qin Guang stood in front of the car with the baton. Tell me, who are you people? What do you want from me? Draw a line. As he spoke, Qin Guang was also sizing up the other party's clothes and behavior. His left hand was still in his pocket. It looked like he was pretending, but he was actually calling the police. There were about 14 people on the other side. Some of them had machetes in their hands while others had iron rods. Some of them had dyed their hair, while others had shaved their heads. Some of them had tattoos on their shoulders, while others had tattoos that covered half of their faces. Most of them were wearing black vests and the two walking at the back were wearing shirts. Basically, as long as one wasn't stupid, they could tell that these people weren't decent people. Maybe they were gangsters or something. Compared to this group of people, Qin Guang felt that Wu Tong was actually quite cute. As his imagination ran wild, he looked at his car and felt pain in his heart. The front windshield was 800, and the dent on the hood was at least 700 to 800. That was another 1,000 yuan gone. Annoying. What are you doing? Stop. At this moment, a strong figure moved from an off-road vehicle about 50 meters in front of them. She dashed over and shouted. Qin Guang's heart skipped a beat. I haven't even made the call yet and you're already here. Are you Chow Chow? That's right, it's Wu Tong. Things happened too fast and the group of people acted too decisively. Wu Tong didn't even have time to stop them before Qin Guang's car was violently intercepted. But she absolutely wouldn't allow the two sides to fight in front of her. Do you think I don't exist? Chapter 69. Seeing Wu Tong yelling and running closer and closer, Qin Guang felt rather conflicted. On the one hand, he was afraid of this creditor. As a man in debt, when he saw his creditor, he basically felt like a mouse seeing a cat, naturally inferior. On the other hand, he considered her identity. After all, she was a police officer. She came so quickly, and if she kept an eye on him, it wouldn't be good for him to hit her too hard. If he hit her in front of her, the scene would be too bloody and violent and he would seriously injure her. This woman could change from a comrade to an enemy at any time. It was unreasonable for her to put him in jail for 15 days at any time. Today wasn't like yesterday. Last night, she was controlled by her emotions once and turned Lu Li into a hot girl in a bikini. If it happened again, the dignified empress would probably be naked. Even if Chen Guang agreed to it, Luli wouldn't agree to it. However, the other party had a lot of people after all. If he didn't hit her hard, if he really took a knife, he would be in serious trouble. Why don't you show your police officer badge, or you can take out your gun to scare them? Zhao Yu thought. Or should I abandon the car and run away first? How about I leave this big scene to you, a public servant of the people? Qin Guang had this idea. If it wasn't Wu Tong but some other male police officer, he wouldn't hesitate to run away. But looking at the dozen or so people on the other side, he thought that if he ran away with Wu Tong's temperament, she would definitely fight them head-on. If she really didn't bring a gun and fell into the hands of such a group of gangsters and bandits, she might be in big trouble. Before she became a police officer, she was even more of a delicate woman. God knows what would happen in the end. After all, the other party had come for her, and she would also suffer an undeserved disaster. Qin Guang prided himself on being a man. He couldn't do such a despicable thing. Well, it seemed that he was going to fight alongside her today. Little girl? You like to meddle in other people's business? It's none of your business here. You'd better get lost. Otherwise, after we cripple this brat, we don't mind dragging you back to have some fun. We have more than 10 people here, I'm afraid you won't be able to handle it. The one who spoke was one of the two men in shirts. He had short hair and a long scar on his face that stretched from the corner of his eye to his chin. His expression was ferocious. His entire face was raised, and the tip of his chin was at a 45-degree angle. As he opened his mouth to speak, the scar on his face stretched diagonally, looking longer than it actually was. As he opened and closed his mouth, it squirmed like a caterpillar, looking particularly eerie and terrifying. This was Brother Knife Scar's signature provocative pose after roaming the Jianghu for many years. It was extremely domineering. Needless to say, everyone in the underworld knew that when Brother Scar made such a gesture, it meant that he was about to flip out and someone was going to be unlucky. The other man in the shirt also took a step forward and stood side by side with Brother Scar. He was the one who had made the phone call when they were fighting. People in Jianghu called him Glasses Wu. Together with Brother Scar, they were big brothers in the area around Gokyo University. Brother Scar was in charge of punching and kicking, while Glasses Wu was in charge of scheming. The two of them cooperated with each other, and in the past 2 years they had been doing very well. Little girl, as a person, it's most important to be happy. You have a sense of justice, but you also have to see what you can get involved in and what you can't. Look at you, you look like a lady from a wealthy family. At such a young age, you can drive a Wrangler that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. Your family must be rich, right? The young miss of a rich family was very precious. Don't get involved in our trivial matters. Today I, your brother, make the decision. You leave immediately and we'll pretend that we didn't hear or see anything. You're not a police officer, so why do you care so much? Glasses Wu was indeed different. His words were very pleasant to listen to. If it wasn't Wu Tong here today, she would have been persuaded by him. Unfortunately, Wu Tong was really a police officer. Moreover, she was a police officer with a strong sense of justice. Wu Tong had only been in the Wenxing town branch for less than 3 months. Brother Scar and Eyeglasses Wu often visited each other at the dock, so they knew every single person in the Wenxing town branch like the back of their hands. However, Wu Tong was a newcomer, so they didn't recognize her. Then I'm really sorry. Wu Tong's face turned serious. She was already standing next to Qin Guang, who was holding a baton. She coldly looked at Brother Scar and the others. You don't say. I don't care what you say today. This matter, I'm going to take care of it today. Oh? I gave you face but you don't want it? Do you really think we're made of mud? I've been paid to get rid of this disaster. Today I'm going to cut off this brat Qin Guang's shoulders and break his balls. Since you don't know what's good for you and want to interfere, then I'll chop off your legs too. Brother Scar was never a kind person. Seeing Wu Tong didn't know what's good for her, he waved his hand and ordered his men to step forward. Qin Guang popped his head out from Wu Tong's side. Wu, brat, this is none of your business. Scram. Everything is clear. In broad daylight. You actually dare to hire a hitman to hurt someone right under my nose. I can't tolerate this. Before Qin Guang could finish his words, Wu Tong's blood boiled and boiled. It's nighttime now. Qin Guang quietly said. Wu Tong rolled her eyes. AI. These people are here to cause trouble for you. I'm here to help you. Can you not ridicule me and ruin my momentum at this time? Are you friend or foe? You still have the mood to ridicule? Go. Beat that Qin guy up first. I'll take care of that girl alone. Brother Scar walked forward while cracking his knuckles. The muscles on his shoulders bounced up and down, full of vigor. The other lackeys who had rushed to the front rushed forward, especially the two men in tank tops who had thrown stones at the car. They were clearly the ones in charge of the group. One of them wielded a machete while the other held a steel baseball bat and rushed forward. Qin Guang knew that things couldn't go well. His right hand grabbed the baseball bat and planned to pass by Wu Tong to stand in front. It was easy to deal with the others, but these two were the ones who damaged his car the most. It was a life-and-death feud. Just as he took a step forward, Wu Tong, who was beside him, shouted in surprise, "Yo! You're not bad, kid. You have a controlled knife with you? Give it to me to use." Just as Wu Tong said that, Qin Guang's armpit was attacked from behind. Under the pain, he loosened his grip on the baseball bat and the weapon was taken by Wu Tong. It's hard to defend against a teammate. Qin Guang never thought that Wu Tong, as a teammate, would try to take the weapon in his hand. She really did it. In the next second, Wu Tong had already started fighting with the two people in front. Her title as the female overlord of Wu Jing City's police force wasn't just for show. With two clang-clang sounds, Wu Tong, one on the left and one on the right, knocked the items out of the hands of the two men in front of her. Then, with two lightning-fast flying kicks, one aimed at the abdomen, the other at the side of the head. The two men screamed and fell to the side. They finally started fighting. Without the weapon in his hand, Qin Guang couldn't be afraid. "I'm the second officer of the An Royal. I'll go too. Why would I be afraid of you small fries? Let me lend you a hand." As he shouted, Qin Guang thought of the lines that he often saw on TV when generals fought. The third side general would often shout out the lines, and his tone was even deliberately imitating the tone of his lines. What was a professional actor? This was a professional. He wouldn't give the heavenly Holy Grail any chance. Chapter 70. Get out of the way. Qin Guang had just rushed to Wu Tong's side when Wu Tong shouted and used her other hand to block him behind her. Her other hand was holding the baton in front of her. This woman was really not weak. Even though she was fighting against many, she was still able to wield the baton like a tiger and was actually able to gain the upper hand. Wu Tong had her own reasons for snatching the blade from Qin Guang. She thought that Qin Guang was a hothead who didn't know how to control his strength. Snatching his weapon was also to protect him. She was afraid that Qin Guang would smash someone to death with his baton. As for Wu Tong, she relied on the fact that she had received professional training and was an expert in kickboxing. Although she seemed to be swinging her stick like a madman, in reality she only aimed at non-vital areas such as shoulders, arms and legs. Even if she hit them, she would at most break a bone. This sister is a public servant and dealing with these people is just carrying out her duties. It doesn't matter if I injure them. It was also because she didn't have a gun on her, otherwise Wu Tong would have directly pulled out her gun to scare them. On the other side, Qin Guang was in a difficult situation. He had originally planned to use the many killing moves that he had learned in the Sea of Transient to give these people a quick death. He never thought that he would be constantly interrupted by Wu Tong. "Move aside," Qin Guang anxiously said. Waving her right hand, Wu Tong knocked another person down before she rammed her left shoulder into Qin Guang, causing him to stagger. "Get up. Don't obstruct official business." Qin Guang then noticed that in just a short 10 seconds, Wu Tong had already knocked down 4 people. "Female hero. Why are you so strong?" He didn't know if it was because the quality of his baton was too good or if it was because this woman's strength was too heavy, but those who were hit by her were all holding their injuries and groaning on the ground. The situation changed too quickly and caught everyone off guard. Brother Scar, who was experienced and knowledgeable, finally realized something. This woman looked delicate, but her technique was not ordinary. She was not simply trained but a true professional. His own little brother had been beaten up like a chicken or a dog. Brother Scar also felt that his face had lost face. "Knife Scar, wait." Eyeglasses Wu was about to say something. Brother Scar howled and rushed forward. When the eldest brother appeared, his aura was naturally different from that of the younger brother. He strode forward and took out 2 nunchakus from behind him. He had been immersed in this path for many years. The 2 nunchakus made of pure stainless steel danced like silver dragons coming out of their caves, sweeping away the clouds. Moving to Wu Tong's side, Brother Scar struck out with his dual rods. With 2 clanging sounds, Wu Tong's originally unstoppable rod finally met its match and was hit to the side. Wu Tong was powerful, but Brother Knife Scar was able to get to the top position in Wenxing Town at such a young age, and it wasn't an undeserved reputation. Finally, someone who could fight came. Wu Tong was in high spirits and shouted, "Come on!" "Interesting. Awesome. Again." Watching from the side, Qin Guang could only watch helplessly as he exclaimed, "You took away my stuff. You're having a good time. But you should at least think about me. Kid, you run first. Don't worry about your car. After I take care of these people, they'll pay for it." Wu Tong finally reacted and almost forgot about the main character of the day. But she was fighting fiercely with Brother Scar and couldn't get away. She said this without turning her head. When experts fought, the scene was extremely dangerous. The others couldn't get close or else they might be accidentally injured. Qin Guang didn't want to leave at first, but Wu Tong was gradually gaining the upper hand in the fight with Brother Scar. Qin Guang felt that he didn't have any weapons, so he couldn't help much even if he went up. If he continued to stay here, if he could hit hard, even if he got injured, he might be able to take care of the other small fries with his bare hands. But he had to be wary of Wu Tong's identity as a police officer. He didn't have any weapons and he couldn't hit hard. The other side had knives, guns, and clubs. Since that was the case, it was better to make a strategic retreat and change to a spectator mode. If the situation turned bad, then he would make a plan. But now it seemed that even if Wu Tong was alone, with the sharpness of the club and her skills, she might really be able to take care of these people. Qin Guang was happy. "Well, since you're so confident and you look so majestic." The old man's body was slightly unwell, so he had to go first. He was also quick to see the opportunity. The other people saw that they couldn't get involved in the fight between Brother Scar and Wu Tong, so they turned around and came to him. "Officer Wu, you cover the back. I'll take my leave first." Qin Guang hollered before he turned around and fled. The meticulous eyeglasses Wu had already stealthily brought two people behind him. He couldn't stop Brother Scar from attacking, so he could only take care of this side for the time being. He smiled sinisterly and said, "Little bastard, you want to run? That easy?" "Wait, what did he just say? Officer Wu?" Why did the last two words sound familiar? Officer? Eh. Qin Guang, remember to come to the station and pay the fine yourself. Today I helped you take care of the matter. On the other side, Wu Tong still had the time to talk to Qin Guang while fighting with Scarface. She seemed to be in a relaxed mood. While Eyeglasses Wu was absent-minded, Qin Guang had already run out. From now on he was free to fly in the sky and free to swim in the sea. "Officer Wu Tong, thank you for your kindness. If you die in the line of duty, I'll be there for your funeral." Although he said so, Qin Guang didn't really run away but stopped after 2 steps. He looked back and was ready to save her at any time. On the other side, Eyeglasses Wu shouted, "Scar, stop. The woman in front of you is a police officer. Stop right now." These so-called gray forces were more or less jumping around in front of ordinary people. Recently, there were all kinds of rectification and all kinds of evildoers. How would these small fries dare to wave their swords and guns at the police? They couldn't hide when they saw them. If they really couldn't hide, they would nod and bow, hand cigarettes and so on. They even had to pat their chests and promise that they had been doing small businesses, such as opening a game hall or a small internet cafe. Eyeglasses Wu already felt that the woman was very professional, and now that he confirmed that she was a police officer, he couldn't care less about Brother Scar's fierce fight and shouted. When Brother Scar heard this, his heart skipped a beat. His hand trembled and the nunchaku that was sweeping stopped halfway. "What? What did you say? Police? Oh my God." He did intend to stop, so he stopped the nunchaku that was flying halfway. But in the end, his hand stopped but the nunchaku didn't. The nunchaku flew out of his hand and hit Wu Tong's head. Thump. Aya. Wu Tong's crazy movements came to an abrupt stop, and she glared at Brother Scar for about 3 seconds before cursing, "You cheated." Then there was nothing else. Wu Tong's eyes turned black and she fainted. She fell to the ground like a dead pig. On the other side, Qin Guang's face darkened. "My sister, you're not playing by the rules. Weren't you acting almighty just now?" The others had already given up and let go of their weapons. "Why did you use your head to receive this blow? Aren't you making it impossible for them to surrender?" Chapter 71. He couldn't care less and rushed into the crowd again. F***CK. "You guys really dare to do this? Do you know who this is? That guy on TV 2 days ago? That's right, isn't there a department head in Dechuan province with the surname Wu? I think he's called Wu Shan. This is his daughter Wu Tong." Of course, it wasn't because Qin Guang had sharp eyes and saw through Wu Tong's real identity. He was purely trying to scare these people by suddenly thinking of an official on TV. He didn't know that he was right. He really lived up to his teeth. But now, Scarface and Eyeglasses Wu were completely dumbfounded. "Surname Wu? Wrangler? Young and good at fighting? Temper like a spoiled young lady? Police? Eyeglasses Wu's face turned pale. Could it be? No. Could it be her? You guys better think about how to deal with this. Don't think about killing us. It's just an injury. If you guys are really stupid, I'll find her even if I have to dig 3 feet into the ground. At this moment, Qin Guang had already rushed to Wu Tong's side and stood in front of her. At the same time he inwardly spat. Did I really think that you're an expert? If I knew that you're so weak, I wouldn't have let you go alone. At this time Eyeglasses Wu and Scarface felt wronged. I'm going to pull back. But I didn't expect the nunchaku to fall out of my hand. She's obviously very capable. How did I get hit by a fluke? How can I endure the fate of making fools of me? Scarface had a headache. He didn't know what to do. He looked at Eyeglasses Wu, hoping that he would make a decision. So here's the problem. Originally, they just took 100,000 yuan from Pan Yu to find trouble with a student. They just needed to beat the student up to Pan Yu's request. Scarface and Eyeglasses Wu were familiar with this kind of business. If they said they would beat the student up to 0.75, they would never beat the student up to 0.76. Although 100,000 yuan wasn't a lot, it wasn't a small amount either. The matter wasn't complicated either. If it was done well, they could also get on Pan Yu's good side. In the future they might be able to cooperate with Pan Yu's company. This was supposed to be a happy thing, but in the actual process, there was an accident and the situation was very serious. He had taken down a police officer, and he was a second-generation police officer with an official background. Facing such a situation, what should he do? Eyeglasses Wu was indeed a genius. It only took him 5 seconds to come up with a decision. He tugged at Brother Scar's sleeve, turned his head, aimed in a direction and shouted, "Run!" Of the 36 stratagems, retreat is the best stratagem. Although there was a surveillance camera at the corner of the road, the direction that Glasses Wu took the lead in was the blind spot of the surveillance camera. He didn't know how badly injured the policewoman was. Anyway, it was better to run first. Later on, she would refuse to admit it, or try her best to make up for it. She had to pay, she would pay. She had to run, she would run. It was definitely not a good idea to stay here and be caught red-handed. The few people who were knocked to the ground earlier also recovered one after another. The others who could still move also supported each other and prepared to escape. Trying to run after acting tough? Qin Guang didn't agree. He took the baton from the unconscious Wu Tong and sprinted forward. In a few steps he stood in front of Glasses Wu and Brother Scar. "Brat, we came for you today. Now that there's an accident, we're in a hurry to leave, but you still came to us to court death? Do you believe that I only need 5 seconds to take care of you? It won't take too much time." Brother Scar laughed sinisterly, raised his baton and pounced forward. It was a bit painful to accidentally hurt the policewoman. If he just ran away like this, he would indeed suffer a double loss. If he could take care of this brat before he left, he could at least protect his wife. Seeing him coming aggressively, Qin Guang grinned. "Is that so? 5 seconds? You don't have a lot of work to do?" Although Brother Scar was very powerful, Qin Guang wasn't bad either. The killing techniques that Qin Guang learned in the Sea of Time were also time-tested. He might not be able to win, but he wouldn't be easily defeated. Moreover, he just wanted to stall these people. As early as when Wu Tong came over, Qin Guang quietly called Yao Yao Ling. He still hadn't hung up the phone and it was still connected. If the people in the Wenxing branch weren't idiots, it wouldn't take long for them to arrive. "Oh, you're quite stubborn, huh? But you're just a *T university student. No matter how hard your mouth is, it can't be used as a fist. Grandpa, I will teach you the principles of an adult in society." Brother Scar swung the baton in his right hand horizontally. The tip of the baton went straight for Qin Guang's shoulder. His left hand swung up and went straight for Qin Guang's chin. Seeing the opportunity, Qin Guang abruptly took a step back and avoided the range of the nunchaku. At the same time, he swung the nunchaku in his hand towards Scarface's nunchaku. He first knocked away the nunchaku in his right hand before swinging it towards the nunchaku in his left hand. The two batons collided. The strength in Brother Scar's left hand was slightly weaker, so the baton turned around and was about to hit his face. Brother Scar quickly put away his thoughts of underestimating his enemy. He raised his neck and raised his left hand slightly. The baton that was spinning at high speed was swung across the bridge of his nose. He broke out in a cold sweat. He took a few steps back and stared at Qin Guang. His eyes no longer had the slightest bit of insolence from before. All that was left was 100% fear. "Brat, you have some skills, huh? Just what kind of underworld are you in? Brother Scar asked. Qin Guang swung the baton to his side, blocking Wu Jing and the others who wanted to slip away. He laughed and said, "Aren't you very clear? Since Pan Jiang asked you guys to deal with me, he would not tell you guys anything, right? Aren't I a student of this Gokyo University? I guarantee it." Brother Scar frowned again. In his heart, he only believed less than 30% of Qin Guang's words. He was indeed a university student. But from the short exchange between the two of them, this person's skills were not bad. Perhaps he was on the same level as the policewoman who was knocked out by accident. However, although the policewoman's skills were skilled, she was somewhat immature. Although her fighting skills were exquisite, she lacked experience. She lacked a layer of experience and ruthlessness. But this Qin Guang was completely different. Although he looked unorthodox, his moves were extremely ruthless. In the short exchange, he gave off a feeling that he was in a life-and-death situation. This seemingly laughing and joking university student, once he got serious, he actually had a murderous aura that was rarely seen in the underworld. This kind of murderous aura wasn't something mystical. Instead, it was a kind of psychological pressure that came from a person whose hands were truly stained with human lives. When he fought with others, it was the kind of disregard for his opponent's life that formed a psychological pressure. This was something that could really be felt. This guy was a hidden expert. That silly look just now was just an act to fool people, wasn't it? Brother Scar's guess wasn't wrong. Ever since he left the transient sea, Qin Guang had spent a lot of effort to change his temperament that he had developed on the Enroyal. Previously, when he fought with people in school, he only got a little serious with Kim Jongpan. Unfortunately, that Taekwondo expert was just an empty shell. He was defeated in one move, so he wasn't able to fight to his heart's content. Later on, he met second Uncle Wen. That old man was so strong that he couldn't be reasoned with. When I was fighting with you, you pulled out some internal energy to cheat. I don't even know what that is. Everyone's level wasn't even on the same level. There was no way to play or have a pleasant conversation. Today he met Brother Scar, this so-called underworld person. The other party was hired to cause trouble. Qin Guang had long wanted to take the opportunity to fight to his heart's content. Chapter 72. Unfortunately, this was the real world, not the world in a cup created by the heavenly Holy Grail, where it couldn't easily take someone's life. Otherwise, Qin Guang would have at least 3 ways to kill Brother Scar on the spot. He was someone who had died 95 times. If they were to fight to the death and both parties were of similar skill levels, they could trade injury for injury and life for life. Qin Guang had a wealth of experience trading 1 for 1, so unless he was courting death, he would definitely win. Killing the other party was actually much easier than beating him fair and square. Qin Guang was indeed struggling to control his thoughts of killing the other party. He was a little tired. That Pan guy found us such a powerful opponent, but he only gave us 100,000 yuan. That's not fair at all. We've been scammed. Eyeglasses Wu said with an ugly expression. Brother Scar nodded. Logically speaking, that's true. But since we've already accepted the job, whether we make a profit or lose is a matter of the future. Right now, he's not letting us go. Qin Guang's face darkened. That's right. None of you can leave today. Because, look over there. There's a surprise. Following the direction Qin Guang was pointing at, 3 police cars were speeding over, sirens blaring and lights flashing. Bureau Chief Ding had just figured out Wu Tong's background last night, and such a thing had happened today. How could he let it go? First, Wu Tong's internal communication device sent a distress signal, followed by Qin Guang's live broadcast of the police station. Chief Ding happened to be the leader on duty at the station tonight, and when he heard the news, he almost pissed his pants. It was like poking a hornet's nest, and the entire station exploded. From the time the signal was received to the time all the officers were dispatched, not even a minute had passed. Weren't they already here? They had practically broken the record for the fastest dispatch of the Wenxing station. Seeing that these people were so scared that their legs turned to jelly, Qin Guang struck while the iron was hot. Alright, I advise you guys not to run. If nothing happens to Wu Tong, then today's incident isn't too important. You guys can just hand over the person behind the contract and deal with him accordingly. If Wu Tong is seriously injured, where can you run to? How about this? She was looking for me for something today. She's an acquaintance. Old man, I still have some say in front of Wu Tong. Now that my car has been smashed by you, if you can properly compensate me for the money you owe me, I'll be happy and put in a good word for you later. Then things can be a little better. What do you think? Brother Scar hung his head in resentment. There was really no way to run. Eyeglasses Wu, who was at the side, tactfully came forward. Fine, we brothers admit defeat today. At the end of the day, the fault lies with Pan Dehai, the vice president of Tongyun Construction Company. He was the one who paid us to stop you. He only said that you're a university student and didn't say anything else. We were unlucky to bump into this policewoman. We didn't know how powerful you were. We'll admit defeat. Qin Guang waved his hand impatiently. I don't need you to tell me who asked you to come here. You can go back and tell the police about this. Take out the money. Take out as much as you have on you. Hurry up. The police cars were about to arrive. Strictly speaking, it would only cost around 1,000 RMB to fix the car. If they didn't take this opportunity to extort money, they wouldn't have another chance later. Eyeglasses Wu was also a smart person. He quickly shouted. Quick! Everyone give us your money. Give us as much as you have. Sometimes, small fries like Brother Scar and Eyeglasses Wu were quite pitiful. In front of the other hooligans in town, he looked impressive, but when it came to the people and matters in the police station, he looked like a desolate and helpless citizen. In less than half a minute, these people deftly emptied their pockets, and a bunch of brightly colored banknotes appeared in Eyeglasses Wu's hands. Qin Guang scooped it up and stuffed it into his pocket. It was bulging like a fatty that had eaten too much, and it was filled to the brim. Right at this moment, the 3 police cars screeched to a stop beside them. The sirens were so loud that it made them dizzy. It's them. Don't let any of them get away. All of a sudden, a roar resounded from behind them, startling Qin Guang, who was counting the money in his pocket. Big sister, you're awake already? Is the siren your alarm clock or something? Wu Tong covered her temples with her hands and slowly stood up from the ground. She looked at Brother Scar with hatred in her eyes. She looked as if she wanted to skin him alive. Despicable scum. How dare you plot against me? Wu Tong slowly walked over and said fiercely. It was clearly you who knocked yourself out, big sister. We're just innocent people of the martial arts world who got implicated. Brother Scar and Eyeglasses Wu had tears on their faces. On the other side, Wang Long and a few others had already gotten out of the car. Wang Long and another policewoman moved to Wu Tong's side to take care of her. The other 7 or 8 people were fully armed as they closed in on Brother Scar's group. Chief Ding rushed to the front. He had already pulled out his gun. The black muzzle was pointed at Brother Scar's head. He roared. Get down. All of you F***King get down. Whoever dares to move, I'll shoot him. The chief took the lead and pulled out his gun. The others naturally followed. It wasn't the first time that Brother Scar had dealt with the people from the Wenxing branch. He was also a familiar face in front of Chief Ding, so he had never seen Chief Ding like this. With a bitter face he said, Chief Ding, it's me. Don't. Who the F***ck is familiar with you? Get down. Chief Ding rubbed his fat body. He rushed up and kicked Brother Scar's waist. Then he professionally took half a step back and pointed his gun at Brother Scar. Get down. Quick. Brother Scar squatted down. He really didn't dare to resist. Even Qin Guang, who had just made a small fortune, almost suffered a calamity. Fortunately, the police officer who came to arrest him was also on duty last night. He had personally witnessed the ambiguous relationship between Qin Guang and Wu Tong. Yo, he's one of us. Without waiting for Qin Guang to explain, this good brother helped him out. Qin Guang laughed. That's right, one of us. Today I'm still a good Samaritan. Hee brother-in-law, you really know how to joke. You helping our sister Tong is a matter of course. What Samaritan? F***ck. Bro, your ability to hit a snake with a stick is a little unreasonable. Who the F***ck is your brother-in-law? Don't tell me you didn't realize that the sister Tong you were talking about was already standing behind you. She was waving her hand and preparing to give you a surprise attack? Big mouth ma, get lost. This isn't your brother-in-law. Qin Guang, today I've been implicated because of you. Hand it over. Wu Tong covered her head with one hand and spread out her other hand in front of Qin Guang, rubbing her fingers. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.